All right, good afternoon, everybody, or evening, or morning. We are live. So let me get everything switched over, and we will commence the launch party for SSAC.
Back.
All right, and we are live, and now we're visible and audible.
Yippee, hello.
How's everybody doing? I see Red Dragon is here. What's up, Red Dragon? How are you doing today? I am joined by my co-host, Pups, and
Hi.
we are going to be talking about the latest music project, which is actually, it'll be live on Bandcamp after we get done on stream today, but technically it's been on streaming platforms since the beginning of the week. The processing for my distributor went through faster than normal, so it's actually been live and visible. But I didn't mention it because I wanted it to mostly be a surprise for folks who are going to be checking out the project today.
Hush, hush. Didn't
Uh,
want to ruin the surprise, I suppose.
no reading ahead.
Yeah.
Red Dragon says, doing okay, thanks. How about you both? I'm doing all right. I was telling Pops it's a freaking busy day at work, but I survived it, and now I get to do something fun. How about you?
Today was okay. Pretty normal. I mean, I guess I did eat a huge slice of cake before this call, so I guess in a sense I'm more than good.
Cake.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Was there a reason, or there was just cake?
Yeah. Today's somebody's birthday, so
Ah. Okay. I wasn't. You didn't need a reason. I was just curious if there was a specific reason.
it's fine. It's not like I'll say who, but
Yeah.
somebody's birthday. The cake was chocolate cake.
Oh, gross.
Not my favorite, but cake is cake.
I prefer pretty much any other type of cake but chocolate. But I've had a couple that were like kind of fancier ones instead of like cheap store bought grocery store cake that were good. But
No, yeah, I get that. Chocolate's not my favorite either, but it's just what it was, so I ate it. Definitely prefer like the birthday cake, sort of the rainbow sprinkle kind.
yeah, I,
What
I
about
like
you?
a good white or yellow cake. It
Yeah.
balances like the sweetness of frosting a little bit better versus like a chocolate cake with chocolate frosting, and it's just
Yeah.
too sweet to me
Yeah. It's a bit much.
as far as reasons go. Red Dragon says because they can. Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna question it. I was just curious.
No more questions. Pulls out a gun.
All right, so here's how we're gonna do it, folks. Just like on previous launch party streams, what I'll do is I have the YouTube video in the background here. It'll be visible and live on YouTube once we're done as well. We're going to preview each of the tracks, and after each one, we'll take a pause to talk about the stuff that went into it. Hey, Froggy's here in chat. Froggy says hi from Nanny and I from Florida. Hey, Froggy
Yeah.
and Banani. Glad you folks could stop by and join. Hope everything is going well in Florida.
Layered.
Oh, I see. Banani's on her account here too.
Okay.
But I'm assuming they're probably watching on one. But yeah. Welcome, folks. One thing I wanted to point out for the format, just like the previous release, the tracks they're half duration. So the full release versions on streaming platforms are twice as long as what you see here in the video. The volume also might be a little bit lower in the video compared to what they are on release, because I had everything sort of standardized for the video, but the volume should be a little bit louder. So if it's a little bit softer, then just crank the volume. And if you stream the songs elsewhere or download the final versions from Bandcamp, they should be normal volume. Bryce is watching on my phone. Okay, well, hopefully you'll be able to hear. Just let me know if I need to tweak anything for the stream itself. But without further ado, let us get started. We'll see if I can pause in between each one. But without further ado, let's listen to Shaken, Stirred, and Chilled, or SSAC. All right, let me pause it right there before it switches over to the next one. So that was the first track, and I'll try not to obscure the stuff on screen so people can see the track name. This first one is called Vodka Collins. And what I'll do is I'll kind of explain the general concept for the album, and then I'm going to let Pwops talk about the art first, since there'll be a little bit to talk about in each project, and then I'll kind of talk about the music portion after that. And Red Dragon asks, is this a follow up from Neon Night Lounge? We will talk about that as we get going. But to kind of overview the project in general, SSAC is a chill, kind of mellow release. I had mentioned for a while that I wanted to do one, and summer seemed like a pretty good time to release something that's a bit more chill and kind of smooth and mellow. Stylistically, it's similar to what I did on Neon Night Lounge, but I've learned a bit more about how to do things a bit better. The styles that are kind of here that you'll be able to listen to as we go through the different tracks is very much inspired by things like ambient electronic. I've mentioned how much I like trip hop here on stream. A little bit of jazz. I've been trying to dip my toes into things that are jazz adjacent. But overall, a pretty mellow vibe. And so we wanted to kind of pair that with art that was going to be similar in mood. So I guess what we can do is talk about what we're seeing in each scene for the art. So did you want to kind of talk about the setup for the scene, Pups?
Sure. So, Raku said he kind of wanted like a sort of like, like before everybody shows up. He's like, okay, so now we have the scene. Nobody's here yet, but we can get a vibe for what kind of place they enjoy being in, you know. So we got like cool sort of art in the background, I suppose. I don't know. I don't know what kind of art actually goes on in those places, like bars and stuff. So that's kind of just me winging it. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah, and so to kind of establish what we're looking at for the scene and where it's taking place, like Red Dragon was asking, you can kind of consider this a continuation in the quote unquote lore from Neon Night Lounge, which was the show release from last year. The characters that were featured in Neon Night Lounge, we're going to see here. You saw them all sitting there and when the video started. And the way it's going to work is each track is going to have the different characters popping into the scene and sitting down at the table. And then after the second half, they'll be disappearing one by one. So it's just a really simple progression. But when I originally hit up Pups to do the art, I said, I really liked the characters from Neon Night Lounge. They were all very fun and very kind of different and varied, and they had a lot of personality. And I said, while I don't want to do something quite as elaborate as far as doing separate scenes for each track, since that is kind of a big lift, I said, what if we made them the focus of the art, and then the quote unquote scenes for the video would be actually just having the characters pop into the scene and pop out, and then it kind of shifts the perspective around based on who's in the group shot, and you also get a good chance to look at the background as well. And so that's how we ended up with what we're going to have here. And so we'll be able to talk a little bit about the characters for folks who maybe didn't see Neon Night Lounge, or it's been a little while, I know. So we can talk a little bit about the characters, the design process when they were originally created and whatnot. And I think that'll be kind of interesting since I did have some comments on the characters that I didn't talk about last time, and be a good chance to just sort of reintroduce them to everybody and also talk about any other things that were part of the design process. Since I know doing a group shot with everyone around the table was kind of a challenge to figure out from a compositing perspective. We talked
Yeah.
we talked about what direction should the camera be facing, what positioning should the cast be in that's going to
What angles?
yeah, how are we going to get everyone in the scene so that you could see them but it's not cluttered because the album title is in the signs in the background. And if everyone was just crammed into the scene, you wouldn't be able to see the title. And I know that was one of the challenges that we'll probably see is you actually get the different characters phasing in. And so, any other thoughts on just the establishment of the scene before I talk a bit about the tracks and this one specifically?
Funny, you know how you wanted a big space for your logo on the upper left? It didn't occur to me that you were gonna remove the logo for the
Oh,
rest of so it just looks empty and I'm like, oh no. Oops.
I didn't think
Oopsie.
about that either. It doesn't really matter. I thought about just taking the art and keeping the logo for the video, but then it seemed a little bit weird to just have my giant
Your
logo
logo.
just there. It's about the art, not about the logo.
Well, it's whatever, I suppose.
It's not really that glaring. It just looks like there's a little bit of empty space there, but I think it's fine.
It's fine. It's just funny. I'm looking at it now and I'm like, oops. My bad. I didn't think about that.
I don't think it didn't occur to me either, but just don't
Any
point it
Easter
out.
eggs on the wall? Uh, not really. Uh, I just kind of drew whatever I came to mind when I was doing it.
I
I
had
mean,
a
there's a very
question.
beautiful woman back there, but that's it.
I had a question on some of the stuff there. Was it intentional to have some of the animals be like connected to the cast members slightly since there's a snake,
Yes.
there's a tiger?
Yeah, that was intentional. Uh, where the stars and the moon were originally, there was going to be a huge like flaming tiger full body sort of thing, and I went, that's cool. But then you said, hey, this is actually supposed to be a square, and I went, oh yeah, right. So like there wasn't room, so I was like, whatever, I'll just put something else there.
I'm trying to see is there anything for long.
They're not really. I kind of imagined the sort of like the skyline sort of city-esque sort of picture and like the sort of scenery ones because those all share his colors. So those were kind of the ones I figured he was more interested in.
Okay. And is this a fox?
It's to be like a coyote, I think. I think that's what I was thinking of at the time.
Okay,
Don't
originally my thought was, is it supposed to be a mongoose? But
Yeah, I
mongooses,
know mongooses don't look like that.
mongoose, they don't look like that. But then we have the tiger for Tora.
Yeah. It was originally gonna be a mongoose, but then I just kind of shifted and I went, I think this doesn't look like a mongoose, so I'll just do something else. Very random.
Yeah, that when I talked to Plops about what I was envisioning for the background, I said thinking about a bar scene, just kind of a collection of things in the back. It doesn't have to be thematic or even organized. Just kind of stuff that you would be looking at in some sort of like hangout establishment.
Yeah, the thing is I don't really go to bars, so I was like, okay, well, I'll just put whatever back there. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it turned out fine. And the mix of colors, I do like the use of the dedicated text colors on each of the parts of the title.
Yeah.
So it kind of sounds like, or looks more kind of like neon signs that are for each word. And we went back and forth a bit about whether or not we wanted it to be like really, really obvious or a lot more subtle. And I said, I think I kind of like the idea that if you just look at it and you look at the characters, you kind of miss the title. But then when you look at all the stuff in the background, then you start seeing the title instead of it popping out like in front or really kind of in your face. Her dragon says the cat icon looks cute, like the lucky cat. It's like a Maneki Neko down here.
Yeah, I like that one. I think that's the very first one I did, actually,
Yeah,
in terms
it,
of background art.
it looks like something you'd buy in Japan.
Yeah.
All right, so to give you folks an idea of the tracks, since this particular release, there's a bit of a running theme on the tracks that you'll see. And I need to be a little bit careful how in depth in this I go, since some people aren't really going to care. But the bottom icons you see next to the track title looks like a glass, cocktail glass. I did these for each of the tracks. There is a different sort of logo icon for each one that's representative of how people normally drink the drink, because each of the track titles is named after a cocktail or an alcoholic drink. And I know because we have a couple people around here that don't drink, so I'm not going to go into the fine bits of what goes into them since you folks probably don't care. But each of the titles represents a drink, and the mood of the song is kind of meant to tie to that a little. I know for some of these, again, if you don't know what the drink even tastes like, it's meaningless, but it was kind of this running theme for, hey, it's a chill place like a bar, people are hanging out, and so it's almost like you're listening to a menu, if that makes sense.
Cool.
And there's two noteworthy tracks in here I want to call out as part of the discussion here. And this first one is the first of those two that I wanted to call out. This track is dedicated to my mother. She, Mother BPM, I don't talk about my folks too much, but my mom does not drink now. She really doesn't like alcohol. But back in her younger days, I've heard stories that she used to throw down quite seriously. And this was her favorite drink, a vodka Collins. It's basically like a vodka with kind of a sweet, fruity mix that can either be made from like a standard mix or from scratch, and usually has like citrus and stuff in it. And so I wanted to dedicate two songs on this whole album to each of my folks, and we'll get to the other one down the road. And as the album starter, it's a bit kind of upbeat, but still really mellow. You got a little bit of synthesizers and pianos and stuff, which is pretty fitting. My mother's personality is pretty upbeat. But I thought it'd be kind of interesting to go into the lore and think about that. I did tell them I was doing this, and they probably forgot. So when they eventually see the project, they'll remember. And so as we go through, I'll point out that specific song. It's a bit later in the release, but I'll talk a little bit about kind of the mood and how I tried to tie it to what it was named after. But again, for folks who don't drink, you probably won't care. But it was a fun little thing to kind of tie the theming together for the release itself. And now I sound like an alcoholic.
I mean,
It's
it
fun.
is fun.
It was a fun idea.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. And on topic, Red Dragon has hit us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Five. Five
5
sippies? Okay, I can do
hydrates.
that. Five little sippies.
Before the stream, I thought, what if I poured shots for the stream? And every time someone redeemed that, just for today, I did shots. And then I realized I would die.
You would die.
And I do have to do things after the stream, so that would be bad.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't die.
Not today.
Some other day. Maybe on a Tuesday.
Yeah, maybe if I hit a million subscribers on Twitch, I'll do a drinking stream. So there you go. Maybe at a million subscribers, not followers, subscribers. We'll do Uraku poisons himself live on stream.
I think that's against TOS.
We'll call it something else. We'll call it a therapy stream.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Self-therapy.
Red Dragon says 1 million face reveal shot stream. I'll do a face reveal stream at 5 million subscribers on Twitch.
Froggy's giving us hydrates too. Okay.
All
I see
right,
how
if
it is.
if you
It's sippy
insist.
time.
I'm just drinking my smoothie from lunch, so you know it's not as
Drown?
fun.
How could you? I'm just a little guy. I'll die.
Very well.
I'm
All
not
right,
even thirsty.
we'll have to take a bathroom break at the midpoint. It's fine. Red Dragon says another fake smoothie. I told you I drink the same thing for lunch pretty much every day. It's a different flavor though. This one's berry. It was chocolate yesterday. All right, so let's check out track number 2, and we'll get our introduction to the first of the characters in the scene, and we'll talk a little bit about it. And I do have everything chaptered on the video, so this next one is called Martini. Let's have a listen. That was track number 2, Martini. And so to talk a little bit about the scene itself, we now have the first of the returning cast members. This is Mongoose.
Oof. I
And
hate
so I know
him.
we talked initially when we were going through the ideas for the project. I had asked at one point, I said, do you think it would make sense to redesign the characters? And I know based on the timeline, it would have made it a lot more difficult to redesign them all, but I did like all of their outfits that we saw in Lounge. So I think collectively we went with the idea of we'll just incorporate them in the scene, not change their outfits.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to redesign them. However, that's brain space. That's brain energy. That takes up a lot of. That's like, wow,
I think if that was going to be the priority,
this
uh,
guy.
well, I think if the outfits were going to be a priority, we would have started the project a lot earlier.
Yeah.
But if we use them again, just as a fair warning, I think that would be something cool to consider.
Yeah. I mean, I do love all the characters and I do like all of them and their outfits. I just it didn't hit I didn't when I first designed Mongoose, it didn't occur to me how annoying he was going to be to redraw every single time.
Is it
So
is it
that's my
the
fault.
caution writing that's all over his outfit?
It's not so much the caution rating as the way I laid the caution out, right? Because like it's laid out very weirdly. His jacket is got a weird design to it. It doesn't really make much sense in hindsight. So
Yeah,
yeah, how it wraps around him exactly. Yeah, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
it's like a jacket that kind of covers his body, but the text runs
Yeah,
like across different parts, just like caution tape.
yeah.
Hey, Lava King's here. What's up, Lava King?
All right.
Welcome to the launch stream for Shaken, Stirred, and Chilled. And Lava King says, I don't know if it's my head injury, but Raku, there's a talking squirrel beside you. I think
Rude.
Pups is a goat.
I'm at least 2 times taller than a squirrel.
It's like a goat type of creature, right? I,
Yeah, something like that. Who knows? Not me.
you know what? It's not that important, but yes, they are here to talk a bit about the art for the project, and we just got through listening to the second track, and Bubs was talking about the outfit and stuff from the first character we see in the scene, whose name is Mongoose,
Mongoose.
and like we were talking about before, Lava King jumped on. The characters you see in this video are same ones from Neon Night Lounge last year. I'll try not to repeat myself too much, but if you want to see more of these characters, definitely go check out that previous release. Don't mind the fact that its volume is much lower than all the other ones. It's the one thing that bugs me about that project, considering I really liked the chill tracks, but the volume is significantly lower on all of those. I may go back and remaster it if I can do it through my distributor easily, but I have learned. Uh, does that command work? I see. Or trying to put my
So,
Bandcamp in there. I can't remember if I have a command for that. It's on my profile here on Twitch though.
so I guess just scroll down since it looks like the command isn't there.
Yeah, I can put that in if people want. If anything, pointing people towards the streaming links would probably be more useful. But either way, yeah, we were talking about how all the stuff's going to be live on downloadable platforms after this on Bandcamp. If you have Spotify or Tidal, the two streaming services that I put my stuff on, then you could listen to the entirety of the album right now. But you should definitely do that once we finish talking about it. Otherwise, you'll get spoiled.
Hills.
So as far as this track goes, Martini for those of you, again, I'm just gonna do a little bit of an explanation for why I chose the drink title for this one. And Lava King, we were talking about before. All the tracks are named after drinks because, you know, I'm apparently an alcoholic. But a martini is a classy drink. It's the For those who don't know, again, it's the drink of choice for good old James Bond. He has famously liked his martinis shaken, not stirred, even though apparently in the book he says it reversed, and they just screwed it up for the movies.
It's weird.
Um, but the martini's always been kind of like a drink of distinction in class. It's very simple, but usually it's equated to like sophistication and the opposite of something like a beer. Not to dump on beers, but for the song itself, I wanted to go for kind of a more smooth and kind of slick sound. So like this one is definitely trip hoppy compared to some of the other ones. You'll hear on a bunch of the tracks the saxophone will feature on a few of these. Lava King says I'm allergic to Guinness. Guinness is gross. I don't know why people drink Guinness. And Lava King says, wrong, Raku, it's a dry martini. I think James Bond's one is, I think it's a dry one, but it's a gin martini. I dislike gin with a burning passion. I think it tastes like pine sol. So if I'm going to have a martini, I like mine with vodka. Red Dragon says, alcoholic space B. Hey, I could stop anytime I want.
Chug, chug, chug.
But yeah, style wise, I wanted to go for something that sounds like it'd be a bit more kind of slick and smooth. Something you can imagine, like maybe a super spy would be listening to in a bar while drinking said fancy drink. Lava King says, don't diss the beer I'm allergic to. Uraku, it's the drink of my people, and this comes from a person who doesn't drink. Guinness is an Irish beer, for those who don't know. I don't like beer in general, so there was never a chance that I would like it. So it doesn't matter where the beer comes from. I just don't like the taste and texture and starchy or hoppiness of beers. Too dense. Too dense for me. Lava King says, anyway, what's the rum song like? It's funny that there isn't a dedicated song for just rum, but there is one that's a rum drink, as it were. It's a little bit later. You'll just have to wait and see.
Now hold your horses, buddy.
Red Dragon says, Ralco, I can stop anytime I can hear him put down his drink. It is very hot where I live, man. Right now, it is very summery weather, and it is hot. And I don't have my air conditioner on because you could hear it in the background.
Yeah. Yeah,
So eventually I'm going to be out of smoothie. I'm going to have to switch to water.
Honestly, it just stopped finally being disgustingly hot here. And I'm not dying with my window open.
I've seen the temperatures that you folks get up north. It doesn't get like crazy hot compared to where folks like Ramen live in the desert, where it's like 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, no, it doesn't get too crazy here, but like you gotta consider we live up north. It's colder here.
Yeah, I imagine it's equally bad where Froggy and Banani are at on the other side of the country.
Oh
But
yeah, probably. Probably disgusting over there. I hope they're surviving.
yeah, Lava King says, Plops, your avatar is adorable.
Thank you.
Indeed. Okay, I think I have said my piece on track 2. Let's keep it moving. Let's check out the third track on the list. And this next one is called Sidecar. Let's have a listen. Sorry, almost missed the cutoff there. So that was Sidecar, and this one a little bit more kind of upbeat to me. If I were to describe the sound on this one, it's a little more bright. And the main reason for that, before we toss it over to the art side, we'll kind of just alternate back and forth depending on the track. I'm not going to break down every single drink because those of you that don't drink, again, will be bored to tears. But a sidecar is a very kind of lemony drink. It's lemon juice and brandy or cognac and usually Cointreau or something else. But it's got kind of a citrusy taste, but it's also a little bit sweet. And so I wanted to have kind of more of a brighter sounding song to tie to it. So you get a bit more of kind of chimey synths and a bit kind of higher melodies. I don't know how well that comes across because I'm not a composer, but it's the tone was supposed to be a little bit more kind of bright sounding. It's still kind of a mid-tempo song, and all of the tracks don't sound like this. So one thing you'll see is as the thing goes along, each of the tracks has their own sort of mood, and that's kind of tied to the song's title and the track drink type that I chose for it. Another thing, just to mention again, since you didn't hear this at the beginning, Lava King, the icons next to the track titles are representative of how you normally see the drink served. And I drew those icons myself. I had to do a little research, but sidecar is normally served in this kind of sloping coupe glass. It's a bit shorter than a wine glass and kind of more rounded. And so each of the drinks has their own sort of typical drink glass you find them served in. But for the art itself, this is our first glimpse of the second character in the scene. This is Long.
This is Long. He actually was the last character I designed out of everybody, and he's also my favorite design. Even though he's got a he's got a ball cap on, and those are the worst to draw, but he's still my favorite regardless.
I can't
He
remember if I
just
said this in the last project, but it would have been a really funny inside joke if he was the shortest of all of them because his name is Long.
it could have been, yeah, but no, I think he's the tallest actually. I think.
The name comes from the Chinese word for dragon,
Yeah,
hence his dragon theme on his hat with the eyes and
the scales and all that. He's also got cloud motifs because Eastern dragons are sort of like usually depicted like in the sky with the clouds, and I always liked that imagery, so I thought it was fitting.
I like his
Kind of
color
hard to see
palette a
though.
lot. The mix
Yeah,
of
yeah.
blues is really nice. I would totally wear a coat like that if I had one.
I do really like his coat.
Red Dragon says, "Another dragon. You must now fight to the death for
Long
dragon
would win.
supremacy."
I my vote's with Long.
I do like. I can't remember personality wise what we talked about in the last one, but he seemed to be kind of the more aloof guy of the
Yeah,
group.
yeah. He's more chill, aloof, kind of a little bit lonerish, but not really. He's got his friends. He's more of a quiet one. Just sitting back, chilling.
His cell phone case matches his coat too. I think that's a
Yeah,
level of coordination that I would never be able to pull off.
they're all pretty fashion conscientious. Like they all have a vibe and they all want to kind of stick to it. So, so when I gave him a cell phone case, I didn't really think too much aside from making sure it was blue.
I can't remember again if we talked about this before because it's been a while, but have you played The World Ends with You?
No, I haven't, but I do know what it is and I know what it's about
The
vaguely.
the fashion of a lot of these characters reminds me a bit of some of the like Shibuya fashion stuff that's in that game.
I could see it.
Because we talked about like urban wear and things you'd see from
Hmm.
like big city, like kind of trendy, like fashion type wear across all the entirety of the cast, really.
Yeah.
And that's kind of vibe I get having played that back in the day. It's a really good game.
always seemed like a really cool game. Just never got around to playing it.
The aesthetic and vibe is pretty cool, and has one of the best instances of a main character growth arc that I've seen. I won't go into spoilers, but you absolutely hate the main character in the beginning, and he goes through quite a bit, and by the end you're like, all right, yeah, that guy's awesome now. But boy, was he a douchebag when it started.
Oh, good. Great. We love to see it.
Yeah, and the characters were designed by Nomura of Kingdom Hearts fame, so a lot of their outfits like belts,
Belts.
not a stupid amount of belts, but still belts.
Yeah, I did know that that guy was in charge of that. Sick thinking about it, you know?
Yeah. Hey, if that's what you're into, that's what you're into. It's fine. But lots of belts and pockets. I think it's belts and pockets and all of the characters he designs, which is really funny.
Yeah. I guess that's just what he thinks looks really cool. So he's like, I gotta give all my characters these things. Otherwise, they won't be cool.
Exactly. Okay. So let us move on to the next track in the list. This one's a little bit more near and dear to me. I'll talk a little bit about it. Try not to get too into the weeds. But this next one, track 4, is called Cognac. So let us have a listen. Well, that one's shorter than I thought.
Oh, that's really short.
Yeah. Not all of these are the same length. They're little less than 2 minutes for the most part. And the full versions, like we talked about at the beginning, the full versions of the tracks are on all of the streaming and download platforms. So the runtime of the album itself is double what we have here. But for the art on this one, the next character to join the table of friends here is Coral,
Oh,
right? I have to remember the names, make sure I get them right.
it's fine. No worries. I forget
Uh,
them sometimes too.
what we need is, if we do anything with these characters again, we need to have like a big dynamic anime like splash cut in that has their name. Like,
Coral!
yeah, with like real
Long!
stylized text. For longs, it'll
That
be
would be fun.
long.
Yeah.
Yes, and so she's the jellyfish girl. So
Yeah.
I really like her outfit, but I'll let you kind of talk a bit about like kind of
hmm
the design process for Coral.
Coral, I think, was actually the very first character I designed. Very first, and like she kind of popped into my head immediately, and I knew exactly what I wanted her to be. And she just kind of came out perfectly, and I'm like so happy with how she came out. Uh, I just really like the idea of like a big poofy jacket that's like so eye-catching and bright. It's kind of hard to tell because, you know, she's sitting down, but like I imagine it just sort of engulfs her, you know? And
Yeah,
she's just like sort of a small, short girl, but she's wearing this huge jacket. I just love that vibe.
the big collar, I'm realizing now, initially when we were looking at the art for a last project, I thought it was part of a hood, but it's actually a collar, right?
Yeah, it's just a popped collar.
So if she zipped it all the way up, it would completely cover her head.
Yeah, it would.
Like she would be
I don't,
gone. You'd see two little buns sticking out of the top, and that's it. That would be.
yeah, she probably would never do that, but that's very funny. Yes, it's that's exactly how big that is.
You know what I think would be a really good idea if you're going to design a coat like that is you have eye cutouts in like the lower part of the collar, so that when it's zipped all the
No,
way up, you can see through it. You see two little
no,
eyes.
that's goofy. That would be really goofy.
I've always, I don't think it'll ever really pan out just based on how many projects I always take on, but I've always wanted to get into like costume design. If I had a better body type to do cosplaying and I could actually, sew and construct things out of fabric, I would probably do that, but I don't. So
Just for fun.
the type of stuff I've designed and made for costumes is wildly different than stuff like this. I won't get into it here, but uh, people that can fashion like outfits like this, the stuff we see here out of whatever materials, have always got my respect.
Yeah, it's certainly like that kind of talent and skill is just like admirable, extremely so.
Yeah, and the rabbit hole goes pretty deep. I'm pretty sure Banani does cosplay stuff. I don't know how much of the stuff she does like hand sewing and crafting, but it's crazy amount of work. But I can't tell you how many times I've had like character designs. I think, man, that'd be a really cool outfit to someone wear like to a con or something. So what I really need to do is just find someone who can sew.
You need to find somebody who can sew, yeah. Sewing's hard. I like the
Yeah.
idea of sewing up until the moment I have to do it, and then I'm like, oh, this is the worst.
Oh, hey, we got a resub. I don't have my alerts on this overlay again. That's right. I need to fix
Yeah,
that at some
Froggy.
point.
The soggy
Froggy
Froggy.
resubscribing for 4 months. Thank you for the resub, Froggy. Very kind of you.
Soggy
And
Froggy comes in with the sub.
the soggiest.
The soggiest Froggy slams down a sub. Nice.
Yeah, enjoy the additional sub emotes and the badge. I always forget that the badge is there. All right. So I think we're good to move on to the next one. We should be on track 5 now. This next one is called Ginger Mule, and I will explain where the name
It's a
comes
fun
from.
name.
Yeah, I'll explain where the name comes from when we watch it. Let's take a listen. All right. I'll back up a little bit so we get a good shot of our next cast member. First off, Froggy has gifted a sub to Banani. Uh, very kind of you,
Sharing
Froggy.
is
Thank you.
caring.
Oh, Froggy says Ohana means family. That is true. Technically, it also means nose and flower in Japanese, and Ohana is family in Hawaiian. Nobody asked, but
Ohana has many meanings.
it does. We learn things here occasionally. So, a little explanation on the title of this particular track. So the drink specifically that this one is inspired by is a Moscow Mule, and I wasn't sure if that is part of any sort of branding because it's a drink I've ordered repeatedly. It's really good, but to keep it more generic, I changed the title to Ginger Mule because a Moscow Mule normally is vodka, lime juice, and ginger beer, like which is have you ever had ginger beer before?
Oh, I don't drink at all.
Ginger beer is not alcoholic. It's like a
Oh, are
soda.
you talking about like ginger ale?
It's similar. It's
Oh, I guess then
made a little
maybe.
differently, but tastes similar. It's a bit more gingery than ginger ale.
Hmm. Then probably not. Then I've drank ginger ale, but I don't think I've heard of, the other.
Yeah, ginger beer is a bit. It's sweeter and it has more ginger flavor, but it's very similar, and it's an ingredient in that type of drink. And so that's why the track is called Ginger Mule. I guess if you've had Canada Dry ginger ale, it's very similar in taste. I don't know.
Ah, okay.
They have Canada Dry up there, right?
Yep.
They just call it dry.
No. Just it's still called Canada Dry.
Oh, well, I just assumed it'd be a redundant if you're drinking it in Canada.
It's like calling Canadian syrup just syrup. I mean, I guess you could, but why would you? It's Canadian syrup.
Like, you guys don't call Canadian bacon, right? You guys just call it bacon
No. I mean, it
or
depends.
ham. Just call it ham.
It depends. Usually they put the flavor. They don't really care. They don't really care about where it's from.
Lava King says, as a Canadian, my rage is getting up there, bud.
Why?
Calm down, eh?
Why? I'm Canadian too, eh? Calm yourself.
Don't get your maples in a Molson. I don't know anything about Canada.
Neither do I, and I live here.
It was very nice when I went to Alberta. People were very nice.
That's good. At least it wasn't dog shit.
I could see why that place is called the Texas of Canada, though, having
Oh yeah,
lived in
yeehaw. We
Texas.
we had yeehaw recently.
I
We had
like a
the big
rodeo.
yeehaw. Yeah.
Okay, I've been to a rodeo before. I don't understand the appeal, but that's
I
okay.
guess if you like horses, there's the appeal.
I do not care about horses really that much.
Gasp.
I did my time when horses were popular on the internet.
Oh yeah, that's true. You did do your time.
I did my time.
You did your time. You're forgiven.
I feel like most people who were on the internet for a good while were tangentially involved in that, but that's okay. We don't judge here.
And we don't judge any pony around here, around these parts, eh?
Ugh. I don't like that. Anyway, let's talk about art. Not embarrassing things from the internet past. Uh, our next cast member is on the right here, and this is Viper.
Yeah, this is Viper.
I know
She,
Red Dragon mentioned it up top. This is
hmm
definitely a snake theme, so feel free to
yeah,
talk a bit
she's got
about.
the snake. Um, well, She was the second last one, just before long. I think I did those two around the same time. Um, I really do enjoy her outfit. It's funny. She originally I wanted to go for more of a Hanfu vibe, but the more I did her outfit, the more I worked on it, the less Hanfu-esque it became. And I don't know where it falls on the line now, but according to my friend, not very. But I still enjoy the outfit a lot. I think she's probably one of the cooler designs for sure.
I think so, and we talked a bit last time for lounge when we get a couple closer shots of like her hood and kind of patterning in the out that part of the outfit, and how like it's kind of reminiscent of like a cobra's hood.
Yeah, that was very intentional.
Yeah, I also like the color palette, the mix of kind of neons. It reminds me of like a rave outfit a little bit.
Yeah, why? I know you wanted to. You originally, when you originally approached me, you wanted them to kind of be like chill. At least that's the vibes you, at least I got from you when you were telling me about it. But for some reason, all the characters came out in my brain like they go to raves and parties and do a lot of dancing and clubbing. I don't know how that came about, but that's just how it came out. They can be both, I guess, but you know.
Yeah, and because for lounge, the setting was a mix of like a chill place, but also has a dance floor, and so that's why the scenes rendered for that project had a mix of like folks chilling at a table or at a bar, but also on the dance floor itself. This particular setting, this isn't taking place in the same spot, but a similar style.
Yeah,
I would
just like
say,
some
yeah, it's more like
place.
a regular bar type
Yeah,
hangout.
they're just hanging out somewhere.
I did see further up in the chat, Lava King says, "What about horses on the internet?" And Red Dragon says,
Don't worry about it.
"Was Raku Pony a space pony?" He was an artist, actually. I've said too much.
Said too much.
The idea was, as a unicorn, he used his magic to use a stylus for drawing. I've said too much.
Said
Another thing we talked about on the art side that we haven't really discussed at length is kind of the positioning on the table. Initially, when you sketched out the primary for the scene, it was a round table, right?
Yeah, originally I thought of it as a round table, but it just didn't look right when I tried to draw it. So I ended up with a square table instead, which is fine. It looks a little strange still, but better than the round table. I'll just say that much.
I don't think it's distracting because one thing we talked about was there's five characters, there's an odd number. So, how do we want to position them around the table and in what order or in what grouping? And to me, having it be more of like a flat surface makes it kind of easier to just position them. It's not like even spacing or anything like that, but I feel like you don't have to work as much with the angles of the camera if it's just kind of a flat plane.
Yeah.
And we'll see when the last one gets kind of added how it's overall composited to kind of guide the viewer's eye, something I'm absolutely not good at. So I had to rely on pups to do that correctly.
I mean, I struggled with it too. It's hard.
Because
It's hard.
originally we were talking about how we could have like a bit more of a zoomed out, like a camera facing downward angle at the group, almost like a
Yeah.
kind of like a sitcom shot. But ultimately, I think you could see their outfits better when it's more straight on. Red Dragon said, "To the interwebs, need to find Raku Pony. You will never find anything.
You won't find anything unless you dox Raku, I guess.
I'm not nearly drunk enough to disclose anything from that part of my life on the internet."
Yeah, no.
Also worth noting, I gotta make sure I'm remembering the lore correctly. I think it was we stated last time that Coral and Viper are canonically a couple.
They're lesbians.
You mentioned that before. I was like, I didn't make the connection based on what we did before because it wasn't overt. But
Pretty
yes,
obvious based on how I drew them, but I guess not. I mean, they were always together in every scene, every single one. If one of them was there, if both of them were there, they were beside each other. That's how I decided it in my brain.
five hydrates.
Thank you. I took a sip.
You need to switch to
Yeah,
water soon.
they also share green. I thought that was a nice little thing. Actually, every character shares a color with somebody else, so that's not like too crazy. But like, I did intentionally make sure they both shared the green.
I didn't notice that a bunch of them share colors with each other.
They all
That
do. They all share colors. Mongoose and Long both have the blue and the yellow. Um, Coral and Viper both have the green, and then Viper and Tora both have purple. And then and then Tora's the only one who gets to have entirely unique color, which is red.
I didn't notice that the first time around.
Yeah, that was very intentional on my part.
That's a kind of a neat feature. I've always talked about on stream how I'm not an expert of color theory. Usually, if I'm trying to palette something, I'll just experiment with stuff until I think it doesn't look like garbage. But I couldn't tell you like a rationale.
Yeah, I just try and make sure. Yeah, I just kind of fiddle around until I think things look good. Also, some color theory, like yellow and blue always looks nice together. Purple and green together is like a really bold choice of colors, which can look really nice depending on the colors. So it's basically just stuff like that. I think green and pink also look really nice together, so that was an easy choice. And I don't know what I was thinking with red and purple, but I think it looks fine.
Yeah, like there's a whole bunch of theory about like complementary tones and things on the color spectrum that technically go together based on their values. I ain't that smart.
Colors are hard, though, to be fair.
I can't remember who sent it to me. It was either you or one of our other artist peers. The color palette generator.
I might have sent that to you.
Yeah, I
I
mess
feel
around
like
with
I
that
might
every
have.
once in a while. I find that helpful in coming up with something, especially if I'm drawing something in a series and I want to make sure that I haven't duplicated something else's palette. Or I'll just draw something and mess around with the levels until it's different. Sometimes it works out.
It's just kind of how it goes.
All right. Let us move on. We are approaching the halfway point of the album. Next up, track 6. This one is called Sazerac. Let's have a listen. All right. I almost missed the cutoff again. We'll put it right about here so we can see everything. So, a couple of things to note on this particular track. A Sazerac is not a drink I order a lot. In fact, I have to look up what's in it every time because I can never remember. But it is a drink with a lot of strong flavors in it. I want to say it's rye whiskey based, similar to an old fashioned. I like old fashions a lot more. We'll talk about that later. But one of the things that distinguishes the flavoring in a Sazerac is that it uses lemon. Like the thing you see here, it's kind of hard to see in the icon, but it's meant to be a twist of lemon on a toothpick. The flavor that balances kind of the flavor of the other parts of the alcohol is a twisted lemon peel. And so it's got a bit of kind of like a citrusy, tart flavor. And so for the song itself, Sazerac as a track is a little more moody. It's got a whole bunch of interesting things, and I don't know if you can tell from the YouTube video, but in the actual recorded track, a lot of the really simple instruments you hear in the background pan, which means they move around in the sound channels in the headphones. They don't just stay in the center or left or right. They move around a bit.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it kind of sounds like the different elements are moving around you. It's a bit more fluid. And then the track itself is not really aggressive. It's just kind of more of a mood. And we'll see a little bit more building on those ideas in some of the later ones. But like Red Dragon had mentioned in chat, the final cast member showing up, I guess, almost dead center in the composition is Tora.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
can see that Red Dragon didn't think that's where she was gonna show up.
there was only one empty chair. Where'd you think she was going to
Yeah,
pop in the back?
yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I know they're kind of hard to see, but all the chairs are laid out to where the characters are sitting, so I'm not sure what you were expecting.
Yeah, the because it's a dark metal on kind of a dark series of
Yeah, it's
colors.
a dark room.
Yeah, it's easy to miss that the chair in the front, I think.
Yeah, probably.
My guess is he thought maybe she was going to pop over like behind Coral and Viper, like just kind of popping over the back, or maybe in the back in the middle.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah,
I
if you
know she
wanted,
kind of gets like I know it's kind of like you see less of her because we're only seeing behind her. But yeah, I honestly kind of thankful that I ended up putting her there because I didn't want to draw her mask. I love her mask, but it's hard to draw. So that's I'm like kind of grateful I did that to myself. I'm like, yeah, I don't have to draw that actually.
she has kind of the one of the more complicated outfits too.
Sort of. Like if you look at it without the patterns and like without the mask, her outfit's actually really simple. But when you add the patterns and then the mask, it just becomes like a little bit annoying to make sure it all looks right.
Thinking back,
Because
just to
yeah,
spite you, I should have requested that she be sitting in the chair backwards, facing the camera, like with
I
her
mean,
like
you
her.
could have, I guess.
But
I'd
then
cry a little bit.
I think it's cool. It's better to have the group looking at each other instead of acknowledging the camera. But it would have been funny just
Yeah.
to say we did get a stretch reminder from Lava King.
Yes, I did stretch.
When Red Dragon says my favorite character is Cat. She's got a pretty
Yeah, Tora.
cool design. The I like the mix of purples and reds against the dark colors. It reminds me of like kind of like a ninja pattern. I think I mentioned that last time.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like I don't know the technical term for it, but there's like I think it's based off of a specific sort of Japanese repeating pattern. I don't know the actual name of it off the top of my head. It's either like it's like wave or cloud. I can't quite recall, but it's based off of that. Although I did it by hand stupidly.
Or are you talking about kind of like the crisscrossing textured pattern on the arms and legs?
Yeah, it's like it's a repeating pattern. Uh, it's like it's a specific one I based it off of. I can't recall it off the top of my head though.
Oh, okay.
I
So
think you see it a lot in like embroidery. in like traditional Japanese embroidery. I know that's kind of odd, but yeah, it's
I I know what you're talking about. I just don't know what it's called.
yeah. I don't either. I've forgotten. It's been a while.
I guess another way to do it would have been to just have like this the flat texture and then cut it out over the image. That's what I would have
Yeah.
done because I'm lazy. But to do it by hand, that's
Well, I kind of did it by hand. Half C's. I don't know how to explain how I did it. I made a little portion of it and then I just copy and pasted it and erased certain parts, I guess.
okay.
That's what I say. That's what I meant by doing it by hand. I didn't want to draw that.
I think
Like
it
that
turned
would be
out
a
well though.
thing. Yeah, I think it looks okay.
I kind of and I thought about this when I was looking at the final art, and I didn't mention it because I figured it'd be funnier to talk about on stream. I'm trying to think of what she's saying, given how like her position and body language. To me, she's kind of doing the actually.
Actually, your hairline looks bad. Actually, that mullet looks terrible on you.
It looks
I
like
don't know.
she's is she talking to Long. Kind of looks like she's kind of pointed in his direction.
Yeah, she's pointed kind of facing towards Long and Mongoose mostly. I sort of pictured those three closer because like the other two just kind of go off and do their own thing sometimes. So those three just end up hanging out together a lot more. So that's probably why she's like directing something at them.
Red Dragon says telling Long off for being on his phone. That's possible too.
Probably.
Like, hey, stop ignoring the rest of the group. Be social.
Probably making fun of the stupid game he's playing on his phone.
Stop playing Raid Shadow
You can play
Legends.
you can play Candy Crush at home. I think that would be funny actually if he only plays like the kind of games you think a mom would play on his phone, like those decorating games and the Candy Crush games, the match 'em up puzzle ones.
Like the Farmville type ones.
Yeah, that's all he plays actually.
It couldn't. Looking at it the way he's holding his phone, it couldn't be Raid because you can't play it vertically. Your phone has to be
Yeah, he's
horizontal.
definitely playing a puzzle game right now, and he's stuck.
Cookie clicker.
Canonically, now Long only plays shitty phone games. He would enjoy Monster Hunter puzzle. He would, actually. He's like, I like the cats.
I've never seen the Monster Hunter puzzle game.
It's awful. That game
Is
makes
it?
me so miserable. It's bad, dude. It's bad.
I
He would enjoy it though.
I'll just pretend it doesn't exist, just like I
Yeah.
do with Monster Hunter now.
Monster Hunter now isn't actually too bad.
Yeah, I know it's not bad, but I've heard the way it gates content is kind of annoying. Plus, my favorite
Oh.
weapon wasn't in the base game and only was added somewhat recently, and that really pissed me off.
Yeah, I mean, and they're taking their sweet time figuring it out.
I can just play the regular games.
Yeah.
I know I've been talking to some other folks about it, but have you seen, just as a quick sidebar, have you seen the gameplay teases for the weapons they've been putting up every day?
I've only seen one. I've only seen the great sword.
Okay, they've put up 4 now.
Oh, wow.
Uh, Great sword, heavy bowgun, insect glaive, and today was the most important one. Today was the most critical
Was
one.
it the hunting horn?
No,
No.
that
Not
one's
my
got to be
beloved
coming up.
hunting horn.
It was the gun lance.
Oh, gun lance. Okay.
That's my favorite weapon. The gun lance looks nutty. It looks so cool what they added to that weapon.
Oh, that's exciting. I'll have to look at that after this.
Yeah, definitely check it out. If I see them upload the hunting horn one, I'll ping you. Apparently, they're gonna make it similar to the way it used to be. My guess is you're gonna be able to choose like the more Rise style versus the older traditional style, make them more separate. But yeah, I am very much looking forward to Wilds. The game is looking to be very interesting from a gameplay perspective.
It looks so cinematic, and that's kind of exciting. Like,
It definitely does have that kind of cinematic quality to it, similar to the way World and Iceborne was. But another thing that's been neat is with all the weapon previews. Again, I want to get too off topic because I can talk about freaking Monster Hunter all day long. But you get to see the armors that go with each showcase as well, and the armors look awesome. Some of
ooh,
them are
that's
like
exciting.
variations on returning ones, and others are new. Like the base hunter armor for Wilds looks really neat. It's like a kind of a mix of like a cut off coat, almost like field wear with like goggles and stuff. It's very
Mm.
neat. Hey, Valiant is here. What's up,
Hi.
Valiant? Welcome to the launch stream for SSAC, Shaken, Stirred, and
It's like,
Chilled. Not the We Talk About Monster Hunter stream.
sorry, Monster Hunter we got off track. Ugh. And also did at Plups in Wazzy chat. Why? Question mark. Why?
Maybe for the Monster Hunter stuff?
I don't know what that means. Gonna be real.
I don't know. Unless Red Dragon's talking about Wazi's stream chat, because I think she's streaming right now. No idea.
Oh, I think maybe he meant in Wazzy's Discord server. Maybe.
Oh, that's what I initially thought. Like in one of the conversation threads. So maybe they were talking about the recent videos and you got added there. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't look too much. Also, question: what do you do in Monster Hunter? Hmm.
Embroidery.
Well, yeah. No, you hunt monsters. It's pretty straightforward. It's all 100% boss fights with monsters. You hunt them, you get their parts, you make new armor and weapons, and then you hunt more monsters, and then rinse and repeat. The cycle goes on. It's beautiful.
It is at its core a somewhat simple gameplay loop, but it's done very very well. The idea that something is kicking my rear up and down the map, so I'm going to get good. I'm going to kill that thing. I'm going to harvest its parts and wear it as armor and or make a weapon out of it, and then I'm going to go use it to kill other things.
Yeah, it's sick. I love Monster Hunter.
Oh, Red Dragon says I posted the link and added Plups and Matt in the Discord to show the videos of Monster Hunter
Oh,
Wilds. Okay, yeah, that makes
I
sense.
probably saw it when I woke up and then forgot about it. Gonna be real. That's how a lot of my things go. I wake up, I look at my messages, and then I forget about them.
That explains a lot.
It's a bad habit.
That's okay. If I need to get a hold of you for something important, I'll just ping you multiple times anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. I should probably get back to the video.
Good
unless
idea.
we want to just unless we just want to make this the Monster Hunter stream actually.
Don't tempt me. We've been going for almost an hour and a half, and we're at the halfway mark. If we start talking about
Okay.
Monster Hunter, we'll be here another 3 hours.
Okay. Move on.
On that note, we are on track 7 of Shaken, Stirred, and Chilled. This next one is called Manhattan. Shout out to all you New Yorkers out there. So let's have a listen. All right, managed to catch it that time. We have 5 more hydrates from Red Dragon. I now have to go grab my water bottle in the sec.
Okay.
So this particular track, again, to give a little bit of the context for the track titles that we've talked about, all of the track titles in this release are named after drinks of some sort of alcoholic drink, which lines up with the name of the project. But Manhattan is one of my favorite drinks, but it's definitely strong. It is primarily a bourbon or rye based drink, kind of like a Sazerac, but it's got a mix of, I think, vermouth and bitters. So it's strong, like tasting, but it's kind of not savory, but it's not sweet. It's not meant to be like a sugary drink. One of my really good friends, his favorite go to is a Manhattan. It's a kind of a classy drink too. Served in a kind of tall martini-ish type glass too. Hence the icon for this one. But the overall mood of the track is it's a bit more kind of dark and brooding. To me, the reason why I chose this particular drink and then this style of song, it's meant to be more kind of like a cityscape. To me, it's kind of like the theme of walking through a city at night. Not necessarily a dangerous city, but just kind of a muted, like, brooding-ish type of mood, which seems to be my default for a lot of stuff. So I wanted to pull a little bit of that in for the project itself. So we'll see the mood change a little, but it doesn't just like go in the other direction. In fact, the next track is definitely not like this one. Thinking about the scene, Red Dragon pointed it out in the chat. They're leaving in reverse order. That's absolutely true, which just made me realize that Tora has the least amount of screen time.
She shows up for 5 minutes and then she's gone. She's a flake, I guess.
She'll be back later.
She's late. She's late, and then she's like, "Actually, guys, I gotta go. I think I left my oven on. I gotta go."
You just got here. Yeah, well, looking at the time, it's about buying just like smoke bombs out.
She's got stuff to do. She's busy. Actually, she's busy.
Red Dragon says because Long didn't get off his phone, so she just dipped because he was not
He's
engaged.
annoying
And
her.
that would have been the funniest, like, inside lore if he was the first person there.
That would have been actually. He's just on his phone the whole time, and everybody's like, "Dude, I get being on your phone when we're not here, but we're all here now."
The idea is like he's staring at his phone as each member is there and each member leaves, and he's still staring at his phone. And he's the only one there. That's actually a really funny idea.
That is pretty funny. I like to think that Mongoose is just there early because he had nothing better to do.
Yeah.
Nothing better to do. So he showed up early.
My headcanon was almost that him and Long were roommates
Yeah, it
or
makes sense.
classmates or something, but maybe not. Like the idea that Long is kind of a little bit more checked out is because he's hangs around Mongoose all the time. He's like, and I gotta hang out with this guy when I'm not at home. I don't know. I think you could write your own headcanon for all of the crew here, the lounge crew. Aaron Dragon says he was staring at his phone the whole time, but didn't notice they all turned up, so he's engaged in whatever Facebook mom game he's playing, and the entire group
Yeah,
comes and goes, and he's still there.
yeah. He. I think that would have been funny if he was the one who stayed the longest. That would have been a really funny detail.
The longest. That
Yeah. Heh. We should have thought of that. We didn't though.
means he would get stuck with the bill.
Oh yeah. It probably happens a lot. I feel like Mongoose never pays. He just doesn't seem like he would. He seems like the kind of guy who'd be like, I'll get it next time, guys, and then next time never happens.
Based on their kind of personality, I kind of assumed Toro would be the one to like go up to the bar and just be like, "Yeah, that guy in the back with the hat, put it on his tab."
Probably for sure.
And then Coral and Viper just like, oh, you.
They're like, sure, we love free drinks.
We really can write a whole sitcom about the
Oh
adventures of
yeah,
these
for sure.
characters. Maybe the next project will be like a short one shot manga.
Where where did Long go? He got left behind at the meetup spot and he's just playing Candy Crush.
You do realize if we did that, you'd have to draw the whole thing.
No. 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 Comics are hard.
You could look forward to that project hitting the street in like 2028.
Yes, I was literally just thinking that year too. I was like, future. In the future. Not now. Don't look at me now.
Yeah, stretch reminder
Stretch.
from Banani. So I guess we can kind of workshop the head canon as each of the characters leaves in the reverse order they came. I kind of again I think the idea of Long being the reason why the party has ended is hilarious to me.
Doesn't even notice.
Oh well.
Oh well.
All right, we are moving on to track number 8. This next one is called Chardonnay. Let's give it a listen. All right. So this one, Chardonnay, to kind of call back to something we talked about at the top of the stream, folks who jumped on kind of mid broadcast wouldn't have heard me explain this, but I mentioned in the start of the stream that there are 2 tracks here that are devoted to each one of my parents. This is the second of those 2. The first one being the first track, Vodka Collins. This track, Chardonnay, is devoted to Father BPM, and the reason for that is somewhat simple, but the actual track itself has a couple more things in it. I did see Red Dragon said, I'm trying to think of my OC in the neon style now. Wild Head Cannon building.
Fun exercise.
Yeah, like how would your OC fit into this universe, and what would happen if he crossed paths with the lounge crew? So for the track title, I don't think I've ever really talked about this because again, I don't talk about my folks that much. But my father does like wine. He doesn't really drink red, but his favorite is Chardonnay. Like he'll drink that all day long. It's his favorite type of the white wines. And so when I was thinking about how I was going to construct the tracks, I said I'm going to use that as a title, and it's got to figure out a good sort of structure and style for the song. And Chardonnays as a track is interesting because I think it's the funkiest of all the tracks on there. It starts with that kind of like upbeat jazz swingish type of rhythm, and then the bass line comes in. And it's a bit more again danceable. It's got kind of a groove to it. But
Doo-doo-doo.
I'm sorry.
No, sorry, I was like thinking about the tune in my head. Nee, 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 nee.
Yeah,
You know?
it sounds like something you'd hear at like a jazz club or somewhere where people are on a dance floor dancing. And when I was putting it together, I said, okay, my father does like jazz a lot. And I said, there's one element I need to include for this that above all else, besides just the title, and that has to feature a trumpet. This is the only track so far that's featured a trumpet. It's got that couple note line that comes and goes throughout the whole thing, the doot 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 doot. And that's because my father is a trumpet player all through his younger larval years up through college and whatnot. He played trumpet, and so that's his instrument. And we'll see if he notices because I did tell them I was going to do this for this project, but they've probably forgotten. And we'll see if he
Oh,
figures it out.
people do be forgetting things.
Yeah, well, my folks are also very old, so there's that. But overall, Chardonnay is a fun song. It just the beat and the groove always just makes me like bob my head, and I don't normally have that sort of reaction to the stuff I make. You know, I don't want to be that guy and say, oh yeah, I love just listening to my own stuff and how it makes me feel. It's like not usually, but for this one, whenever that beat comes on, it's like I feel like just bobbing my head. As far as the scene goes, we have now had the departure of Viper. To me, since I think she and Coral as a couple showed up at the same time, right?
Yeah. I think
So
she just leaves early just to go to the bathroom, and then when she's done in the bathroom, she comes, gets Coral, and then they both leave.
I had this thought in my mind that she went to the bathroom, but then texted Coral as she was leaving the building, so that she doesn't come back to the table. Right? She's like, okay, we'll do the thing. I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and then I'll text you, and then you can leave. So the idea that everyone wants to like just kind of sneak out while to not like offend Long, but he
I don't
doesn't
think they
even
would offend
notice.
him. I don't think they would offend him. I think this is probably just a fun game they do to make him pay the bill every single time. And he doesn't really care, but it's just a game they do to see if they can leave without him noticing.
That's that sounds accurate. I'm trying to think of the bar settings he was in lounge in the first release. Let's see.
Outside in the stairwell,
Yeah,
and
in
then
the
just kind of
alley.
sitting in the back,
Yeah,
and then in the alleyway, yeah. So he's usually kind of chilling somewhere, usually either by himself or with just one other person. So
Red
he's kind
Dragon.
of like a chill loner.
He can't raises a good point though.
Yeah,
Like Long could be
he's
the one,
long.
the one rich
He's
guy who he doesn't really care. You know, he likes
yeah,
being there, but you know he doesn't mind getting stuck with the bill. That's even funnier.
yeah.
He's got a lot of in-app purchases for the game
Oh,
he's
for
playing.
sure. He buys like 50 extra lives, and he has to in order to beat the puzzle. He's
That's
like
what
extremely high level in every single game he's in,
that's what Tora was
but they're all
pointing out
stupid games.
when she was sitting there. She's like, "Did you really need to buy the custom like gold-plated avatar for the cookie clicker game?" Like,
Yes, I did need the golden bonnet for my grandma avatar. Thank you.
and Long's like, "Well, yeah, the silver one isn't as good. You know, I already bought that one." And everyone's just like, "Yeah,
Okay.
$1,500 in Candy Crush." Either
Look,
that
I
or
like
maybe
to think that's his only big spend aside from like buying his friends drinks and food. He pretty much only spends his money on stupid, irrelevant game currency and
he could
maybe a little bit of Bitcoin.
he could be a gotcha addict.
Oh yeah, no, he actually yes, you're right. He would be a gotcha addict. He would be so into Honkaiverse, but not to actually play it, just for the PNGs
He's playing
or
Goddess of
whatever.
Victory Nikkei right now.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know
He's
if you
like,
play
this
that
one
one
has a really
vertically.
big gun.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's like, this one has a really cool backstory. It's just like the stupidest character. I think he would get into that.
Everybody else is like, oh, come on, man. Every time, every time, man.
I think they're just like, "Oh, you're so silly. Why don't you spend your money on something more useful?" And he's
Did you
like
see the
what?
limited edition costume?
It's like nobody else has this yet. I want to be the first. He's a whale. Oh no.
There it is. Inspired by a dragon, but the man's a
He's
whale.
actually the man's a whale actually. Oh man, his poor finances are in ruins. They're in ruins. They're fine, but you know.
I do think it's funny that we've crafted the most detailed narrative of this guy of all five. Wouldn't have called that at the top of the stream.
No, that's pretty funny actually. Well, he's got lore now. That's great. We love that for him.
I like the idea that everyone else is they think it's funny, but at the same time they don't get it.
Yeah, they're like, "Why do you like this?" And he's like, "Nah, I just do."
Red Dragon says Tora's in love with Long, but he doesn't notice her.
I don't know about that one.
Uh, I think I've known people like that are really kind of single-mindedly focused on the things that they're into, to the point where nothing else really enters the equation.
Yeah, no, I think Tora is just too cool for any of them. Like, I really do think she's just out having the most fun ever.
Giant says, "But have you seen this shiny item though?"
Oh yeah, yeah, that's totally him. He's like, "Look at this cool PNG I have.
Yeah,
Nobody
but
else
like,
has this."
look at the summer outfit when the character is firing the gun, crouched behind cover, and all you see are the butt cheeks.
And
Like,
"Isn't that sick?" And they're all like, "Sure. Sure."
good for you, man.
Good.
I'm happy
Yeah,
for I'm happy
we're
for
glad
you.
we're glad you like your game. Everybody needs a hobby. That's Long's hobby is playing stupid video games just on his phone. He doesn't have any other gaming system. He just has games on his phone.
10% gold for Candy Crush only for the next hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, the currency packs are 10% off, but just for the next half hour.
What a deal. I gotta get it. I gotta
Yeah,
get
it
it,
would.
guys. You don't understand.
I'd be stupid not to take advantage of the deal. We joke, but I know people that have gotten like that far in with certain like mobile games.
Oh, yeah. I heard this story about somebody who was buying fake spaceships for some game or whatever, and he spent like over $1,000 for a fake spaceship, and like he used the down payment for like an apartment that him and his wife were saving instead, and he bought the stupid spaceship.
Oh no.
Long as like that, except for he's single and he's rich, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's not as degenerate when he's the only victim.
Yeah,
That's funny. We're crafting lore.
crafting lore. We're smithing it up in here. I didn't think that's what we were gonna be doing today, but you know what? That's fine.
Nobody steal our ideas.
No, original OC, do not steal.
Yeah. Never
Or I
mind the
know.
fact that the project won't come out for another 4 years. Just it's all copyrighted. Oh, was that Star Citizen? I
Oh
was
yeah, yeah,
talking.
yeah. Yeah, that's for the spaceship
Oh
thing.
my god, that's so embarrassing. $1,000 for a fake digital ship, and
Yeah,
like for whaling, that's really like a drop in the bucket compared to some of the like extreme amounts of money people spend. But like,
yeah.
man, that's kind of sad.
I don't think Long has like an addiction problem. I just think this is what he enjoys, and he's got the expendable cash,
Valiant
so he
says
just does it.
my buddy's uncle does CS:GO rolls and has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah,
Ew.
but like part of the appeal for the CS:GO rolls is you can also like flip and sell like rare things to try and make money too. Unless your buddy's uncle's just a collector, at which point it's a sunk cost. I've spent a decent amount on mobile games in my life, but not to that extent. I think one thing I've talked about a little on stream, especially when we were playing mobile games here on stream just to show them off, I will pick up a game and I'll usually spend a little in the beginning, but my goal is to get to the point where I don't have to buy anything anymore. And usually, if I stick with the game for more than a year, by the end of that, I'll have stopped spending. Like, it's a common running meme amongst everyone here that I play Raid. I have not spent any money on Raid since 2021. Like, I
Good.
refuse to spend any more money on that game, but I don't need to.
Yeah, you
And
don't need to.
people in that game, like the whales in that game, will spend tens of thousands of dollars and higher. And it's like that in
Oh,
a lot of mobile games, and that's crazy to me. Like,
that is kind of nutty.
Dragon says I only paid money on Magic the Gathering and other card games. Like physical games, I can understand. I know there's like the online versions of Magic and whatnot, but
It might.
again,
Red Dragon might meet MTG Arena though, because he does play that.
oh, okay, all right. Well,
I know this because we added each other. Still haven't battled yet because I'm afraid I'm gonna get smashed. I'm gonna get totally destroyed and demolished, and I'm like, well, my pride says I shall wait for that.
kind of to Valiant's point, my sort of headcanon for long is that he was one of the Bitcoin guys who got in early, and he made
Oh
like,
yeah, so he's got lots of money, but he like dropped out right before it all crashed.
yeah,
So he's
like
like loaded.
one guy was like, "Hey, you should buy it 10,000 Bitcoin back when it was much lower," and he's like, "Okay, sure, whatever." And then
Yeah.
it made him like a
Oh,
multi-millionaire.
here's an idea. Mongoose is the one who got him into Bitcoining and all that shit, but Mongoose failed. Like he stayed in too long,
Oh no,
and he got no money.
he's a redditor from Wall Street Bets.
Yeah, he
He
probably didn't. I don't know. I just think it's funny if Mongoose is the one. Hey, you should do this, and like it turns out well for Long, but it doesn't turn out well for him
I get
when
the
he
feeling that
tries.
that idea is like even to this day, Mongoose is like, "Hey man, you hear about this really hot new like coin that's out there? It's gonna blow up, and you know, you
The
should totally like
Dogecoin.
maybe cut me a little bit of money. I could totally turn around." And Long's just like, "Nah, my game skins, I'm good."
Yeah, he's like, I'm good, bud. I already have enough money. I don't need any more.
Mongoose held on to GameStop after it fell
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
That describes one of my brother's friends perfectly. He didn't really get into much training when trading but when GameStop went like super nuts a couple years ago,
yeah.
he bought in, but then he didn't sell when it was super high because he thought it was going to just go even higher, and then now it's worthless. Not worthless, but now it's worth considerably less than what he paid for it.
Ooh.
That's rough. Hey, thanks for the follow, Valiant. Again, my I don't have alerts on this particular overlay, but I do see it pop up. So thank you for the follow. Hope you enjoy your stay amongst the space bees. I just realized, and I don't like to shill counts on stream a lot because I think it's dumb, but I am almost at 200 followers. I have promised,
Nice.
I promised my community, and in case you're interested, Valiant, I will link our Discord. I had to change the command because we had spammers jumping into my Discord and soliciting people for money, which makes me mad.
Ooh.
If you feel compelled to join the Space Bee Discord, a lot of the folks you interact with on Wazi's community are all over there too, but it's pretty chill. But I told the community that when I hit 200 followers here on Twitch, I will do a Q&A stream where I answer all of your deep philosophical or burning questions while eating like the 2 times spicy Korean noodles.
Yummy.
So to that end, again, a reminder to all you folks I know already that are in the Discord, I'm pulling the questions from the Q&A channel, and once I hit the mark, I'll probably be sending out more reminders. But all of you folks, send me your questions there. I also have a thing on Twitter that I'll be probably reposting again. But send me all the questions, and as long as they're stream appropriate, I will answer them as part of the challenge while eating extremely spicy noodles. And I say, stream appropriate for that one person, whoever it was, that asked me about my fetishes in the last time I did one of those.
Ew.
It's like, you're going to get a really funny answer, but other than that, keep it like mostly PG-13 so I don't get in trouble with Twitch.
Yeah, just don't be creepy.
I never said I had
I
to
don't think
answer
it's that hard.
truthfully.
Yeah.
I don't even remember. That was way back when I first started. I did like a hot sauce stream, and I think I said my most shameful fetish was like paying my rent on time or something.
I like being punctual.
Yeah, but yeah, I'll talk about that a bit more because I didn't think I'd be close to hitting that mark, but we'll definitely do that. So let us continue the release. And while this one's playing, I'm going to get some water because
Some water. Ran out.
thanks to Red Dragon and all of you people spamming the hydrate emotes, I'm out of smoothie. So the next track, we're getting towards the end of the project. There's three left, four left. This next one's track 9. This one's called Dark and Stormy. And normally I would go and use the restroom, but I don't think I'll have enough time because these tracks are kind of short. So for now, let us listen to number 9 and see how it sounds. All right. Give me 1 second to go across my room here and grab my water bottle. One thing that you might be able to talk to, Pup, since Red Dragon asked. He asked if there's a reference sheet for the characters.
There isn't like a full proper reference sheet for them. I did I did chibi, sort of like a half chibis, and made a reference sheet that way, which is how I do with most characters I do that aren't like that I feel like I need a big proper reference sheet for. I don't know how to explain it too much, but I've shown Raku. I've shown Raku them, and I might have we shown them? I don't think so, right?
No, because we didn't do behind the scenes stuff for
Yeah, I didn't think
last
so.
year. But to kind of answer Red Dragon's question along with what Plups is saying, when we were talking about the concepting for each of the 5 characters that were featured in Neon Night Lounge, Plups made up a chibi style reference sheet, like they were saying, and it had like the basic character designs and some ideas for
Details.
the outfits, the
Yeah.
color paletting, and that was done for all 5, and we kind of narrowed it down to like a combination of outfits and stuff, and then that's what the fully rendered designs were created from.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't remember you ever being like, "Hey, I don't like that outfit. Can we change that?" I remember you being like, "Oh, I really like that. That's really cool." And then I think you were like all on board with everything I did.
Well, yeah, and it kind of worked out nicely because I didn't give you a ton of information about the project. I know we talked about the song titles and the overall mood, but I said probably like a city-ish type of environment. So I know when you were doing the concepting, it was like urban wear again, kind of fashion-ish, a style, kind of stylish clothes instead of like really simple clothes. And I didn't establish any sort of aesthetic. I just let Pleps run wild and I said, come up with something. And I really liked the results. And that's usually the way I run all of my commissions. Unless I need something to be a specific way or a certain reference, usually I'll just say, here's the rough idea, take your best shot at it. And unless it's just wildly different from where I was intending to go with the project, I don't usually go back and say, you know, scrap it. I don't think I've ever said that on a commission because to me, like, I'm not doing spec work. It doesn't need to be very exact, which I don't know for you artists if that's helpful or tougher to do, but I just like to be kind of more go with the flow
It's
because
freeing in a way because like it is freeing, but it can be a little bit difficult too, depending. Like if it's something I'm like where I'm not sure about what I'm doing, and I'm like, hey, I'd like feedback on this, and then you're like, no, it's fine. I'm like, is it though? I scratched my head. I'm like, is this fine though? But you said it was fine, so I just kind of end up going with it. So I'm like, okay, okay, whatever.
yeah, usually I'll have comments on something, but it'll be how to like build off of the idea and work with it. I don't think I've ever thrown out something that you folks have come up with and said, again, scrap it.
No,
No,
I
like
don't like it. No.
I've said it before on stream when people have asked me, but that's the main reason why I don't do commissions. I don't like the idea of trying to hit an imaginary target, and
Yeah.
that doesn't mean every customer will be like that, but the way I draw is so kind of either simple or just fly by the seat of my pants that if someone said, I want you to take my OC and draw them in like a JoJo style, it's like I'd be like,
But
I'm
like,
not the artist you want to hire for that.
yeah, honestly, I feel like for that sort of thing, you can't just do that to any old artist. You would have to approach somebody who already does that sort of thing to be like, hey, I like this, what you do. I want that with my character. And then in that case, perfectly fine. But if you go to somebody who draws like cutesy wootsy, ootsy bootsy, cutie patootie, like chibis, and be like, hey, I want you to draw this in a hyper realistic, almost JoJo esque way. And they'd be like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah,
So
it's the
not every
same.
artist is flexible with their style, so you can't expect that sort of thing.
It's the same reason why when you're getting a tattoo, you want to
Yeah.
research the artists and what their skill set is before you go and hire them. Like if you have a
Yeah.
hyper realistic image or style that you want, don't hire a tribal
Or
specialist.
don't go to a cartoony sort of artist. You can't do that.
Yeah. Or you can, but the results are probably not going to be very good.
Yeah, they're probably either going to reject your commission or, be like, hey, it's not going to turn out like this. Are you okay with that? And you have to be okay with that or go.
Yeah, Red Giant says don't go to a mage if you want a soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know for because I don't do drawing streams super often. Usually like every other week or so when I'm working on whatever stuff that's related to a project or other things. Sometimes, and it hasn't happened in a bit, but sometimes a random person will join and say like, "Hey, if I send you my OC, can you just draw them right now?" And I'm like,
Those people are delusional.
you are not in the right stream for that." Like some folks like
Those people
Wazi
are.
who do requests, like because Wazi can work quickly, she can do that really effectively. But I'm like,
Yeah, but she also wouldn't because she doesn't do OCs. Like
right, right.
that. That's just against what she does.
But it's always funny because I might be drawing whatever, and someone says, "Hey, or can you draw Luffy from One Piece?" I'm like, no, not that I don't want
No.
to. It's just I don't think it would turn out well, and that's not what I'm doing here on stream. And they usually just leave. I'm like,
Yeah, no, it's just those kind of people just want something out of you for free, and then when they don't get it, they're like, "Well, I'm gonna go." And sometimes if they do get it, they leave anyway because they don't care. They just
yeah,
want something.
That's okay.
I mean, they can do whatever they want, but that doesn't mean they're gonna get what they want, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it's hydration time again. Always in fives.
Hydration. You
So
know, you can be too hydrated. You know that, right?
you can, yes, and you can die by water poisoning.
Yeah, my friend told me about that the other day. Scary.
You have to drink a lot of water, and in a lot of cases, your body will throw it up before. But if you don't, and you basically hypersaturate your entire body, yeah, you will. Your organs will
Your
shut down.
brain gets all swollen or whatever, and then you die.
Yeah, don't do that.
Scary. No,
I realize we have not talked about the song at all for this one. I
not
don't
at
think
all. Not
that's
at
okay.
all.
That's okay.
We've been
I
just lore building.
I did want to point out for this one for Dark and Stormy, since Lava King asked early on, this is the one that features rum. A Dark and Stormy is a drink that's basically like an old fashioned, but it or not an old fashioned. It's like a Moscow Mule, but instead of vodka, it's rum. It's like rum, ginger beer, and lime. It's a nice kind of refreshing, almost tropical-ish type drink because of the rum. And the overall mood of the song is a bit more kind of dark and moody, a little more brooding, which I thought was fitting for the title. And one thing of note, I've talked a bit on stream here about how one of my favorite games of all time is Cave Story.
Story.
This particular song was inspired by one of my favorite tracks from that game, similar in instruments and style. And this is the only one on the album like that. I do like Dark and Stormy a lot. To me, it's kind of a mood. I did see Valiant ask, might be off topic question, but how do you do shading on your art? For me, poorly. For Plups, if you want to talk a little bit about your shading style for the stuff we see here in SSAC, because I actually don't know the answer
Specifically,
for, yeah.
uh, it's a little harder to describe with just words, but I'll try my best. Okay, so I start with a sort of flat shading in a specific sort of maybe like a purpley, light purple color. Uh, and I have it sort of masked or clipped to a layer that's basically just the out like the inside color of the character, so that it doesn't go outside. And then I just sort of I shade where I feel like it belongs. And then on certain parts where it's more rounded, I'll blur it and erase certain parts to give the idea of like bounce light and stuff. Like so, maybe around some certain edges. And then at the end, I will change the editing layer for the multiply layer so that it if I color over it, it'll just be on that layer. So it's masked to that layer. And I'll change all the colors for individual parts so that it doesn't look too strange. Because sometimes if you color, like if you use like a red on a green for shading, it looks bad. So think of like that. So I would make the color more fitting. So on a blue, I'd make it maybe purple or red. On a yellow, orange or red, stuff like that. You know, blue, maybe green, stuff. You know, that's about it. I don't know how else to say it.
No, that's pretty specific. So, do you do a clipping mask for the shading layer that is clipping to the flat color underneath?
What I do is I start with the this flat layer, and then I make a folder and clip to that. So
Oh, okay.
everything in the folder is clip. It will be automatically clipped. And that's where all my flats go. And then on top of that, I can make another folder, or I can just make a just a regular layer and then have those clipping in the order too. So everything is clean and
Okay.
separate.
That's probably better than what I do. I did want to answer Valiant's question honestly. I suck at shading, but my process is way simpler than what Plups is describing. I create a clipping layer that clips to whatever the flats below are, kind of in a similar idea, but I just drop levels of the base flat to be darker, for regular shadows and whatnot, and highlights would be lighter. And I rough in with a soft color like a pencil or something, not a pen, I shade in all the areas that I want the light to be falling on, and then I use an eraser to harden the edges of the shading.
Yeah, that's a way to do it too.
Or I'll blend it if I want it to be really kind of soft.
Soft, yeah.
Yeah, depending on hard or soft, I'll either use a blend or an eraser to cut it. Yeah,
Mm,
Valiant's
yeah.
asked what Valiant's asking that for Photoshop and for Clip Studio, those are the two drawing programs I know, and
Yeah.
Whoops uses Clip. When you use
Yeah.
the clipping mask, it basically restricts the area you can draw on to whatever's underneath that it's clipping to.
Yeah, exactly. So that you won't draw outside of what you've already defined in the area you want to draw in. So I like doing that because it keeps it clean and I don't have to think too heavily about it. And at that point, if you have clean line art, you can use the paint bucket tool fill to do flats really quickly.
Yep.
And then shading you can do pretty. It's not as quick, but it can be depending on how you want to approach it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to keep my shit clean, at least as clean as I can.
Yeah. It's funny because when I do shading on pixel stuff, it's totally different depending on what I'm working on. Since for the Pokemon Infinite Fusion sprites that I've worked on, I don't use layers. It's all
Yeah,
done on one.
it's a
But
bit hard to layer pixel art.
my unique stuff that I've done, I use layers just because I do everything separately and I shade it all the same way. But for the Infinite Fusion, because I'm editing a lot of times, like I'm editing an existing sprite or chopping bits off and combining them, I work on one static layer, and that took a little bit of brain rewiring because I don't draw pixel art that way.
It's hard though, so like that makes sense.
Yeah, Valiant says I just got a drawing tablet with Clip Art Studio. Oh, okay,
Nice.
nice. What kind of tablet did you get? I'm always curious about people's hardware.
Honestly, the great thing about like tablets in general is that it really doesn't matter which one you get. They're all pretty decent.
What changes is the price.
Yeah.
Real quick, I do want to see what Valiant's answer is before we move on. I am going to go fry some chicken real quick. Can I
Hey.
can I trust you to entertain the chat for a minute?
Well, I can't promise about being entertaining. But you go fry that chicken.
Hey, Wacom Intuos. I used to have one of those. I'll,
Yeah. I think I know what those are. Yeah, I have a Wacom too. Actually, I think I've only ever had Wacoms. I think my current one actually, I don't know what number it is, but it's definitely a Wacom.
I had a nine by
It's.
12 and I hated it.
I think
But
I also had one of those little ones.
no, the 9 by 12 is a massive one. The one that's like
Sorry, I meant like, yeah, but I had like a little one, a little Wacom.
a bamboo.
Yeah, bamboo. That's exactly what I had. I thought you were gonna go fried chicken.
I'm going right now. I'll be back in a second, folks.
Is the Wacom Intuos Valiant? Is that one a screen one, or is that just like a non-screen tablet? I'm curious because admittedly, despite having drawn digitally for so long, I actually don't know too much about tablets. I basically just know the two that I used, and that's it. So I am very curious. Not a screen tablet? Yeah, I like using the non-screen tablets. I'm too scared to use the big ones. Not only are they expensive, I'm scared of ruining it, you know? Because, like, I don't know about you, but I press really hard on my tablets and the poor thing is all scratched up. Still works perfectly fine, though. Hmm. Oh, Huan? Huion. I don't know how to pronounce that. Huion. Huion? How do those work? Like, would you say those are pretty good? Because I've never used those. Like I said, only ever used Wacom branded tablets, so I have no experience with other ones. Would you say it was like a good price for what you got, or like maybe not worth it? Kind of, it's too smooth. Oh, you don't like it smooth? I actually like my tablet smooth. And you got to worry about it falling off your desk. Yeah, I'd be really scared about my cats ruining it. Oh, it's $300. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. I think you can also. I think you can get screen protectors. I don't know if that would help because I think you can get. I don't know specifically who on, but I think there are actually a brand of screen tablet protector thingies that can change the texture. So for you, you say you don't like it smooth. I think there's actually one that makes it have like a sort of papery texture almost, but I'm not 100% sure on what brand that is. So I'm not sure if that would even be compatible with what you have. And I honestly don't remember like what brand or if it was just for a specific tablet or not. Not even be useful. I'm sorry. Welcome back.
All right. Not only did I fry my chicken, but I refilled my water bottle because I know Red Dragon is going to hit me with more
more,
hydrates.
more hydrates, more sippies.
I did hear right as I was leaving, and didn't bother to say anything. But for the Intuos, the main reason why I didn't like it back when I had the 9x12 was because drawing on a surface that I couldn't see was absolutely something I couldn't figure out. I tried for like a year, but I used to draw on paper, which is, I think folks here have heard me talk about that. And so trying to connect an external device and then draw on a surface that I wasn't able to look down and see, brain no likey. And so I had to get an actual tablet one later, and it served its purpose for 10 plus years until it died a couple months ago. But uh,
Uh,
to kind of compare, I think you and I have talked about it a bit, but
we have.
just for price points, I have an XP pen now, and it's much cheaper than a Cintiq, and it's still pretty solid. It's a lot lighter.
How much was that one again?
How much was it?
Yeah,
It was less than 500, I believe.
it's not too bad.
And it's a 21-inch workspace.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, the same current gen 8 like HD or 1440 Cintiq 21s would have cost me about 3 grand USD. So
Yikes.
no, I'm not a professional. The one I had before, I got a decent deal on, and it lasted a long time. But I was like, I'm not gonna buy a Cintiq again, not unless it was sponsored. Someone was gonna buy one for me. Sure, it's a
I mean,
solid piece of
yeah, for
hardware.
sure, for sure. If it was free, hell yeah, free.
Yeah, they're solid products. That's why they're so useful in the industry and so widely used. But if you're a hobbyist or just starting out, you do not need to go for a Wacom Cintiq.
Yeah, honestly, just getting like a cheap little whatever Wacom is like actually like the perfect sort of beginner tablet because like I think they're really accessible personally.
Yeah, Valiant says it's a 10.5 by 8. So that's slightly small. It's one size smaller than the Intuos I had, the 9 by 12. But again, depending on how you learn to draw, if that works fine for you, then more power to you.
Yeah,
I
1 second.
know.
I just accidentally ripped out my thing.
Okay.
My
Wazi uses
headphone thingy.
a she uses a Galmon. I was looking at those too
Yeah,
when my Cintiq died, and
yeah.
I like the button layout on the XP Pen one a little more. And I don't think the Galmons have a zoom wheel. I don't think.
I honestly don't use any of the buttons on my tablet. None of them, and it's got a fair amount. It's got the 6 buttons, and then it's got the spinny wheel, which also has like technically like 4 button maps to it.
Do you just do everything by mouse
I use my
click?
keyboard.
Oh, keyboard. Okay. Just having undo on a ready button. That's the most common thing I use. I don't do a
Yeah,
bunch of the other ones, but like I'm sitting there drawing and being able to go for like one button undo is nice. I
yeah.
do,
I don't use a whole lot of. I guess I do use some shortcuts, but I don't know. I just don't really like using the buttons. I feel like it's just annoying. so I don't.
I need to customize mine for eraser. Like I because mine's on an arm now, it's not sitting on my desk. I have my keyboard in front of me, so I just use keyboard shortcuts. But the XP Pen base stylus that came with it, I've talked a little bit about this on stream before. It doesn't have a rear sensor on the back of the pen for an eraser.
Oh, that's like so vital and important to me. If
Yeah.
a tablet pen doesn't have that, I just can't use it.
I didn't know that was a thing. I think I mentioned when you and I were talking about it. They do sell one that has that I want to buy eventually. But for now, because again, I have my keyboard in front of me and I couldn't put it in front of me before because my Cintiq was sitting on my table. I just used the keys to do like eraser, but my brain still wants to default to being able to just flip my stylus around. So when it's in stock, I'm gonna buy one of those. But other than that, the XP Pen 21 that I've got is pretty solid. We can talk about hardware all day long. If you're looking to get into drawing stuff, I'm always willing to kind of share my experience.
My experience is Bamboo or Wacom tablets are pretty good, except sometimes their drivers are bad.
Mm.
That's about it.
I don't think I had issues with the 9x12, but I didn't use it for that long. I had to get the Cintiq stuff configured, and then once it was all set up, my computer could see what it was. It just treated it like a regular monitor because the Cintiq connects to actually the one I have now is like that too, but it also does USB-C, which is nice. The screen tablets connect to the computer via USB and from the display ports. So if you have a desktop, your monitor or display ports, it'll connect via that and USB. So the display is coming from the display port, and the input is coming from USB. That's how it can tell what it is. Yeah, like Red Dragon saying, okay, let's get to the home stretch here. But
The music, we're almost done.
yeah,
We've got
uh,
like three more songs left, right?
we do, yes, three more, and then that will be a wrap. But like I said, if you folks ever want my opinion on stuff, just ping me on somewhere like Discord or whatnot for drawing hardware. I'll tell you my thoughts and what not to do. Okay, so we're on track 10. Track 10 is called Old Fashioned. It's it's in reference to the drink. Surprise. Let's have a listen. All right. That was Old Fashioned. I think I mentioned earlier on in the stream that that's one of my favorite cocktails to order. I haven't had one in quite a while because I honestly don't go to bars that much. I know you folks probably don't believe me, but usually if I drink something, it's like at somebody's house or at like kind of a more local occasion or at a happy hour at a place. I don't really go to bars or clubs because I don't know a lot of people in real life that do that. But the old fashioned drink is a bourbon similar to the Sazerac. It's bourbon, simple syrup, a little bit of bitters, and like a twist of orange peel, which is different from Sazerac. Sazerac's lemon. And so for the track, this one's a bit more simple. It's kind of a slower, kind of mellow ambient type sound, but it plays a bit with piano and synthesizers. I again am not a composer. I don't know how to write music. Everything that I do is basically just trial and error and doesn't sound like garbage to my ear. But I wanted to kind of mess around with the note riffs on this one to make it sound like you have multiple people playing on a couple different piano type instruments and they're all alternating, taking turns. And to me, just again, it's not high concept by any means, but the piano is one of the oldest instruments in history. So playing around with those themes and tying it to a song called Old Fashioned seemed to make sense in my brain. But I think the overall vibe is pretty in line with everything else. The bass line gives it kind of a moody feel to it, but then you have
Yeah.
the synth lines kind of make it a little more light.
It feels chill.
Yeah. Hopefully all of the tracks convey a sense of chillness and
I
overall
think they
mellow.
do. At least the ones from what I've heard so far. They've all been pretty chill.
The last track is just death metal.
Oh, okay. Great. If there
Um,
are, a fun surprise at the end.
yeah, it's something you put on when you're going to sleep, and you're just starting to fall asleep by the end of the thing, and then it's I wouldn't do that, but it would be a funny joke,
That would be pretty funny.
maybe for a YouTube video. As far as
Tunes to
the
sleep to.
yeah, so we didn't talk too much about the scene stuff, but like were discussing before, Mongoose is the last one to go since he was the first one to get there, and I kind of like the idea that he's still talking to someone. Like maybe he has a an earbud or like a headset thing in the ear
Oh,
we can't
yeah.
see, so he's talking to someone about like
But he just looks like he's alone. So he
yeah,
just looks weird.
and he's like no yeah that crypto thing sounds pretty good. Maybe we should
Yeah.
buy that one.
Yeah. He's talking to his buddies, his Discord buddies, or the equivalent of Discord. And he's like, yeah. We gotta buy into that. And then the people at the bar are like, hey, we're closing in 5 minutes. He's like, yeah, don't worry about it. And then he goes back to talking on it. On his earbud.
You gonna you gonna close your tab out, buddy? Someone's got to pay for all these drinks.
No,
Uh,
Long did before he left, but
oh, okay.
this guy's just hanging around because he's bored. He just wants to hang around somewhere.
The bartenders and the people serving drinks are just sitting there like arms folded, staring at the one guy that won't let them close down.
Yeah.
I did see
Oh
Valiant
yeah.
mentioned on the style, kind of like a noir vibe. I think so too. That's a good way to describe it, better than I could in a fewer words. But yeah, like Red Dragon saying, is he getting paid for his screen time? He was there on screen the longest, so he's kind of the face of the release in a way. He needs to be paid for his time.
Yeah,
He took
I
some
don't think
heavy
anybody
losses
would
with
pay.
the Logan Paul crypto zoo thing he jumped on.
Oh no. No.
Long was like, I
No,
don't
not
think you should do
Logan
that,
Paul.
man. And Mongoose is like, I think it's gonna take off.
It seems really cool. I
Like
mean, it's got all these animals.
Logan Paul sounds like someone I can trust, and Long is like, you do remember the Suicide Force thing, right? And Mongoose is like, the what now?
He's like, huh?
The who? What? What happened?
Yeah, I don't know about that. What are you talking about, man? I heard that was fake news.
Yeah, take off and crash hard. Mongoose strikes me as kind of an impulsive type of guy. So, like, if he thinks he can jump on something and capitalize, he will, but he's not smart enough to dip out before he loses everything.
Yeah. Also, I feel like he's also the kind of guy who's like, he's willing to give a lot of things a shot he probably shouldn't because he thinks it's a good idea. I like he'll look at something that people be like, "Oh, that's like an MLM scheme," and he's like, "What do you mean? They're just selling me shirts, and if I sell more shirts, I'll get more money." You
And
know?
if you sell shirts too, you could also make money. So, do you want to sell some shirts?
So I think he doesn't think about things too deeply, and then he's like, "Oh, why didn't that work out?" Oh well, next thing. Like I think he's a hustler for sure. Like he's definitely always on that grind, except not really. He's got the mindset sort of, except in practice, not really. Like he thinks he's that guy, but he's not.
The casinos like to call those easy marks. Like
Oh
the person who
no.
sits down at the slot machine, puts in like $5 and wins 500, but then
Yeah,
doesn't walk away.
yeah. No, for sure. I think for sure one time he won big time, and ever since that he's been riding off that high and thinking he can win, but it just hasn't happened again.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I think that's why he's like, yeah, I'm sure this will work. I'm sure this will work. It's worked before. Like I think he gets lucky like one time every now and again, like with random things. And then he's like, "Yeah, I know what I'm talking about. This will work. I'm for sure." Like I don't think he's arrogant or anything like that. I just think he's a bit stupid.
Naive.
Yeah, a little bit naive.
So do you think he doesn't have a job? Like the grind is everything he's trying to do to make money aside from getting like a stable 9 to 5 job.
I feel like he's got his fingers in a lot of pockets. Like he probably does like a lot of random freelance crap.
He's an Uber driver.
Yes, while he's Uber driving, he's also like doing other crap on the side. Like I don't know. I have no idea
TikTok.
actually off the top of my head. Yeah, he definitely does TikToks. He definitely does social media stuff. I okay. I don't want to make him a total shit brain. I was gonna say maybe he does YouTube pranks, but like no, I don't. I don't think he's that. I don't think he's an asshole.
I don't think the rest of the group would hang out with him if he did.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm like, maybe not that.
I
I
feel
just think
like,
he does like a lot of random stuff.
yeah, I
Like
think
you're
they,
like,
they
oh, you
all
work
know
there, and he's like, oh yeah, 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 I work there on Tuesdays sometimes.
he's the one guy in the sitcom that works at every shop.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. He works there like at random times, so nobody actually knows what his work schedule is. He's just somewhere at some point.
He
Oh
definitely does
God,
React
no.
content. Eh,
I don't know if that would take off.
maybe more
I,
like he talks about crypto stuff, but he doesn't offer advice because he's not smart enough to offer advice. But he's like, yeah, I heard this thing is a real hot opportunity. I'll let you guys know how it goes. And the next week it's like, yeah, that one didn't work out so well, but I heard about this other one.
yeah, he does that. He's probably got 50 followers maximum on TikTok.
My general vibe and headcanon for Mongoose, based on his way he fits in the other groups, is he means well, but
Yeah,
he
he's kind of
he kind of screws up a lot, but he means well. He's
yeah.
not a jerk.
I originally kind of thought he was kind of like a slick sort of dipshit, but I don't know. I don't think he'd have friends if he was like that. So I think he probably does occasionally do a dickish thing, and it just doesn't occur to him that was a dick move until later. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys."
I feel like
You're
Tora would be the one to check him.
oh yeah, for sure. I feel like
Like,
she's very much the hey. She's got her head straight on her head. She knows she's intelligent,
is she the group
whatever.
mom?
I don't think she's the mom so much as been like, hey, don't do that shit. That's cringe.
The voice of reason.
Yes, that
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Red Dragon says feels like he's a 3 a.m. friend.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
I've
I think
known
he would
someone
play
like
Call of
that.
Duty.
Yeah.
I think he would play Call of Duty. Some random shooter game he would play or Overwatch or something. I don't think he'd be very good, but I think he'd play it. He wouldn't be terrible, but he wouldn't be like good, you know?
Fortnite.
Yeah, he plays some random ass game like that. Just one.
Stay
Just
on
the
the
one.
grind.
Yeah.
All right. Two more. Let's move
Two
on to
more.
track 11. And okay, I think I remember what I did for the last shot's going to be the empty room again. So we can theorize about what Mongoose did after he leaves the room, what his next hustle is going to be.
Yeah.
So everyone think about your head canon, and we will check out 11. Track 11 is called Absinthe. Let's have a listen. All right. That was track 11, Absinthe. I see we were having a debate in the chat about what games Mongoose would play.
I
Hello
I
Kitty Island Adventure.
I think isn't Hello Kitty Island Adventure a phone game? Wouldn't that be more Longsdale?
I have no idea. I don't know what that is at all. I can guess. I'm gonna assume it's not a first person shooter. Maybe it is. I don't know. Hey, Mysterious Phoenix is here.
Mysterious.
What's up, Phoenix? Welcome to the launch stream for the SSAC project. You're coming in towards the end. We just listened to the second to last track, but if you want to hear the initial tracks, or at least what we had to say about it, the archives will go up for a little bit later once I get done with the stream. Painting some models like miniatures.
Cool.
Nice. That is a level of detail that I am not capable of doing. So I got mad respect for people that paint figures or miniatures or models.
Yeah. You know, like the little figurines, like Warhammer and stuff. That's what we mean by models.
It could be real
Real
people.
people models. Oh, real Final Fantasy ones. That's cool. My
Nice.
hands are way too shaky for stuff like that, so that's really cool.
I'm more paranoid about irreparably screwing up what I'm painting. Like if it's a bunch of small details, like Warhammer type miniatures, and like I slip once, and then all of a sudden I've ruined like the entire face of whatever it is I'm doing.
Yeah, that would be scary. But I think he got kicked out. Like, or either he got kicked out. Finally, like the people at the bar were like, "Hey, you got to get out," and he's like, "Oh, okay, sorry, sorry." Like, I don't think he like intentionally is, wasting their time, but I feel like for sure,
He
like
didn't he
they
didn't
got
know,
annoyed.
like, it was so
Yeah, he didn't
oblivious.
realize. Yeah, he's a little bit oblivious, but I think either he left right before they were about to do something, like, "Hey, get the hell out." I think he probably left to go do some random job.
And everyone's like, finally, that freaking
Yeah.
guy.
Finally, that guy left.
Like maybe he was waiting for an Uber client to pick him up.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Like, oh, I got one.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, finally, I got it. Somebody's got an Uber Eats delivery they need done. Better get going."
I kind of feel like headcanon wise, maybe he's borrowing one of the other crew members' car
Oh,
for.
for sure.
He's like, just for like a couple months till I can get some cash and fix my bike.
Yeah. Or he could
Lo-
be like that one TikToker who rides his bike and does deliveries. I could see him doing that. Like a little regular pedal bike.
he
Or
borrows
he's got
Long's
a
car
motorized scooter. Actually, I could see him on a motorized scooter.
or a moped, like Valiant saying. That's funny.
Yeah,
Like a
yeah.
a moped scooter, yeah. For the track itself, one thing of note on this one, there are two tracks on the entire album that are represented by drinks I don't actively drink. The first one was Chardonnay, and I mentioned, like, based on the wine, which is my father's favorite type. I don't drink wine. I do not like the taste of wine at all. I have tried. I
Mine
have
is
offended.
icky.
I have offended a great number of snobby wine connoisseurs by saying, just not for me. Same with beer. Like where I live, fancy microbrew, you know, whatever beers are really popular. And I've tried cheap ones and I've tried the fancy expensive ones, and they all sound the same or taste the same. And boy, do the aficionados get mad when I say that.
Yeah,
That's okay. So it's just not for me. I would
yeah.
rather, like Mysterious Phoenix is saying, spoiled grape juice and soggy bread. I could just drink regular grape juice or eat regular
Yeah,
bread.
yeah.
Uh,
Also, some people just don't have the actual taste receptors to like taste certain wine stuff. So it's like if somebody doesn't enjoy it, that doesn't mean they're like uncultured or whatever.
oh
They
no,
just might literally not have the right taste receptors
yeah, and
that some other people do. So
that's
at
fine.
that
Like
point, you're just being an ass
I'm
by
not friends
being
with
rude
any
to
like
them.
elitist snobs when it comes to stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
usually like, oh, this is you know my friend Ted. He's a big wine guy, and Ted will be up his own rear about how fancy this blend from France that in the 1800s is the best thing ever. And I tried, and it's like it tastes like grape juice that's been going bad, and now all of a sudden I'm having words with Ted. But technically, sakes are wine, rice
Oh,
wine. I
really?
do like sake, but that's very different from a grape based wine. So to me, they're not in the same category.
Oh, it's a grain, right? Not a fruit. So I
Right.
think that would be a big difference automatically.
And I do like mead. Mead is like a wine made from honey.
Yeah. Like
So
that's different.
grape wine, grape based wine, I don't like. There you go. Oh, we got stretches from Red Dragon. Oh, only stretches, huh? Oh. The reason why I mentioned the drink thing is absinthe. I've never tried. It's a specific type of liquor, and it tastes like licorice,
Oh, like licorice. That's odd.
black licorice,
Oh, ew, ew, ew,
not
ew.
red licorice. Nothing tastes like red licorice, but black, like anise flavor.
I don't like that.
No, I
Yuck.
can't stand black licorice, so I have no interest to try absinthe. But of note, the reason why I chose it for this track is a bit kind of darker and moodier, but it features a lot of distortion and kind of effects that sound like something is obscuring the track. Like the filters are what cause that kind of like drowning out effect that you hear. And the reason why I chose that is because way back in the day, absinthe used to be made with wormwood, which is exactly what it sounds like, a type of like wood, but it was hallucinogenic. You drink absinthe, it would cause you to hallucinate back in the day.
Oh,
So I wanted to take that idea and create like a track that features a lot of like ambient distortion and stuff, like you have the effects of legit absinthe.
kind of nutty.
It was kind of a fun idea, and it sometimes it's green, which is unusual.
Oh, green. That's
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. I'll probably try it eventually, but it's a little expensive. Like you can go to a nice bar and they pay for like an absinthe experience where they give you like a real fancy thing that holds it, and you're supposed to like dilute it with water and then melt a sugar cube in it, and it's like a whole almost ceremony to it. But if it tastes like licorice, I'm not gonna like it. So, you know,
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, no, I don't see the point in putting things like eating and consuming things that are like don't taste good. Like, what's the point if you don't even like the way it tastes?
I agree. If I cared about the fact that alcohol makes me drunk, I would just drink lots of beer. But I much prefer things I enjoy the taste of than things that are gonna get me plastered. I'd rather not be plastered, honestly. As I become an older senior citizen, being able to recover from a serious hangover gets harder and harder and harder. So I can't really hang like the young children out there in the party scene. If I'm hungover now, I'm useless for like 2 days. I can't afford to do that.
Yeah, no.
Red Dragon says, become. I said further become a senior citizen, you Weisenheimer, you.
Yeah, how rude. Coming into his stream, calling him an old man to his face.
Get off my lawn!
Get off my lawn. Damn kids. Damn these kids to hell. Ruining my lawn.
No,
Ding
trust me,
dong
Phoenix.
ditching.
I'm incredibly old. Just ask
You
Wazzy.
could be older.
Yeah, you folks have met me in person. You guys had to help me with my walker and help me
Yeah.
find my dentures when I lost them that one time.
Yeah, yeah, no worries, no worries. What friends do.
You can get the senior discount on the bus. Yeah, I can get like the senior discount at restaurants.
Yeah, a lot of places do senior discounts, so
ARP
it's
ARP
honestly it's a great thing.
freaking ARP doesn't stop sending me retirement information. They're the American retirement company for old people.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. They do send me things. I am legitimately like that old. Which
Scary.
Red Dragon
I think I'd
says
be
Raku knew the guy who made the wheel. Yeah, I'm the
oh
one who told him to make it
wow.
round.
Yeah. Yeah, he tried to make it a square at first. Not very
Yeah.
smart.
What Brian said? Why said you were born in the 1950s? Okay, I'm not that old. I'm born a little more recently than that. That would make me like 80 years old, man.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd be able to understand how to do streaming if I was that old. But
I
sometimes
mean,
I wake up and I feel that old.
there's some old streamers. Have you seen the grandma streamers? They're pretty funny, honestly. Have you not seen them?
Uh, I know some of the YouTube content creators that are older that make like content, but I don't really look around in the streamer space too much anymore because I'm usually
Yeah.
streaming. But I believe it. If I was retired and didn't have a regular job that I had to go to eat, I would probably stream like more full time, just like whatever I wanted. You know, it wouldn't be for making money. It'd just be like, oh, I'm gonna like maybe I'll build something and like stream it or just do like actual music full time. I don't know. Valiant says, I'd say you're probably 38 to 42 ish. Oh, that's nice. How gracious. Thank you. I freaking wish. Anyway, enough about how my hip is out of alignment and I can't remember what I had for lunch yesterday.
Oh man. Me too, buddy. Me too.
You
Only
be
one on my
quiet. I know how
hip.
old you're gonna be next year. You do not
Actually,
talk. You just silence you. You
silence. You gnat.
you child. when I was your age and before they invented electricity, we used to ride dinosaurs to work every day. And
I wish dinosaurs were real. I wish they weren't a government conspiracy. I wish I had a dinosaur.
give cloning a little while longer. They bring
That'd
back
be
the woolly
sick. I
mammoth.
don't
That's
think
the
they'll. Yeah, I don't think they'll be in within my time, which is really sad because I'd love to see one of those little guys, one of those little guys. You know, the little guys, the little chompy guys. I don't know what they're called.
Valiant says, dude, if you're
I'm
older than
just hoping you
45, you
can
could be my
find.
dad. Well, I haven't gone to the store to get any milk recently. In fact, I rarely leave the house at all, so I can't speak on that.
Oh wow, mysterious Phoenix. What are you talking about? You're talking to a dinosaur.
Hey,
That's mean.
hey, how about we talk about the music and the art? I feel
Well, we
attacked
have one
now.
more go. We have one more to go.
I'm gonna start the entire album over. Like, don't make me
Oh
turn this
no.
car around.
Oh no. I can't do that. I have things to do, such as Reed's palm fant, smudge rating, laundry, laundry. Yeah, I have to go do that.
Adult things.
Yeah.
Okay, to that end, let us listen to the last track and kind of wrap the project up.
Yay, I get to hear the music now. Sorry, we're yapping. This is a yap stream.
To give you an idea of what this stream has been, Phoenix, and I like doing these because you folks always bring such interesting topics to discuss besides just the project itself. The runtime of this YouTube video is 22 minutes. We've been live almost 3 hours.
Yeah.
Between talking about our headcanon of the characters featured in the video, to talking about drawing hardware, to talking about aging, it's been quite an
Yeah.
arc of discussion that hopefully you folks have found amusing. Oh, we did talk about Monster Hunter too. We could talk
And we
about more
did talk
Monster
about
Hunter. We'll be
Monster
here
Hunter.
for another two
We
hours.
should. Yeah, we should.
Okay, let me double check to make sure I absolutely minimized everything here like an idiot. Uh, Final track. This is number 12 for Shaken, Stirred, and Chilled. This one is called Mimosa. Let us give a listen and close the sucker out. Oh, I can answer that question, Red Dragon, after we come back. Here we go. All right. We'll we'll end on this shot here, so I have a bit more to look at besides just my logo. That was Mimosa, last track of the album. As so, I did something I kind of unintentionally did for this one that is a parallel with the last chill album I did last year for Lounge. And I think the rationale was the same, and it just sort of ended up thematically the same too. If you remember last year, Pups, when we did Neon Night Lounge, the last track was Until Sunrise. And it was kind of a more upbeat, happier in quotes song. And the way you did the art was you had Viper and Coral like sitting there on a building watching the sunrise.
Yeah. Like chilling.
So this one is a similar sort of vibe. It's basically like, the end of the night becoming the morning and or waking up the next day after going out, and thankfully not being terribly hungover, the song would sound much different. But the idea is, yeah, it would sound just like sludge essentially because you feel like absolute garbage once you're super hungover. And so it invokes the same sort of feel, I think, which is funny because I know you don't drink, but do you know what the whole deal with mimosas?
No.
Okay, so a mimosa is a really simple drink. It's literally just like a champagne or like a sparkling wine and orange juice. Very simple.
Oh, that is simple.
Usually fruit juice, but the typical one is orange juice. And mimosa is significant because it's typically a day drinking drink. Like people go to brunch and order mimosas.
Oh, I see.
So it can either be a post hangover or a very early start to a day of drinking. And
For the alcoholics in the
or
room were like,
both if you
yippee.
if you're an absolute degenerate, it could be both. And so since the song itself kind of invoked a more sunrisey type of feel, that's why I chose the name. I've had mimosas; they're fine. I have seen some people get absolutely murdered by bottomless mimosas, which some restaurants will do. Like
Jesus.
like bottomless fries, but just they'll keep bringing you mimosas. And I've seen some people that are laid out by like 2 in the afternoon as a result of drinking too many mimosas. It's really funny,
It's pretty funny.
but
I mean,
kind of shoot you.
alcoholism is very funny.
Well, alcoholism, as far as chemical dependency, isn't funny, but the idea of people making poor decisions and screwing their day up in a non-catastrophic way, I think, is funny.
Yeah. No, I was joking. Oh,
Valiant says,
upper middle class white mom kind of drink. Yeah.
yeah, it can be. Uh, Usually, like fancy brunch places at upper end establishments are usually the ones that'll have something like that, and the ones in the middle are the ones who usually do the bottomless ones because it's not an expensive drink to make. You can get a pretty simple sparkling wine and just off the shelf orange juice, and that's it. But some places I've been to have multiple different types. So you might have like a raspberry mimosa with raspberry juice, or like a peach juice or anything. Like, but typically it's orange juice.
Almost sounds good.
Yeah, or you could just drink orange juice. Like fresh squeezed orange juice on mimosas is actually pretty solid, but most places will do it from like concentrate or from like a jug. Red Dragon says the only drink I got at the bars are J20s. What is that? What's a J20? Red Dragon may have to explain. I don't know if that's something specific or a regional thing. Valiant says, "What's that drink with tomato juice in it?" I know some people
Are
drink
those
those
like
in the
Bloody
morning.
Marys?
Bloody Mary, yeah. Or if you're in Canada, Bloody Caesar.
Yeah.
I love Bloody
Those-
Marys. I don't drink them when I'm hungover because I try and avoid being hungover. I will drink them just like on a regular occasion because I like savory drinks too. But if you don't like the taste of tomato or tomato juice, the most people won't drink those because it's pretty specific. But
Yucky tomatoes. Blah.
you don't like tomatoes?
Not really. I
Oh,
like them when they're paste, I guess.
my really good
Like
friend
a,
that I talk about every once in a while. He won't eat fresh tomatoes, and I don't understand it because like large tomatoes or beefsteak tomatoes like you have in a burger are whatever, but like cherry or plum tomatoes, the smaller ones that have good flavor, you chop those up and you make them like in a caprese salad with fresh basil and fresh mozzarella. That's good stuff. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
growing most of those components in my garden this year.
Oh, that's
Aside from
cool.
yeah, my cherry tomato plant, which is like 4.5 feet tall now, it's got tomatoes on it, but they're not ripe yet.
Yeah, tomatoes are weird. You gotta like they don't look ripe until like they just don't look ripe until you pick them. They're weird like that.
Red
And
Dragon
sometimes when you
says,
like wait.
I see J2O is a soft drink that is a pun on the
Mm,
chemical formula for water. I see. So J2O, not
mm.
J20.
Ah, that makes sense.
I see.
You don't like a good old tomato sandwich? Nope. I don't like tomatoes unless it's like in sauce or a condiment sort of deal.
Not raw.
No, I don't like them raw. I don't
Hmm.
know. I just don't like the way they taste. They have a sort of they have a something to them that I'm not a fan of.
Some people don't like that they can be a little bit slimy because of the seeds.
Oh, that too. I don't like that either. I'm just not I'm not into certain fruits and veggies that are like especially watery.
You also don't eat things that aren't soup. I know that
I
for a fact.
eat other things. I do eat other things. In fact, I had cake before this call, if you do recall. That
Okay,
is not a
so
soup.
soup and occasionally cake.
Yes.
Red Dragon says meat all the way. Oh, I agree with you. I'm a very much a meat eater, but I also like vegetables a lot too. A lot of things are very versatile when it comes to cooking.
Meats are mid to low tier on my food ranking.
Blasphemy! You're fired.
Hmm. I
If you
don't
can't
know.
if you can't
Meat
appreciate a
flavor is
good
just kind of
steak,
boring and bleh.
it shouldn't be if you have good meat.
We have fine meat over here. I mean,
You
I
guys
like
are in the land
little
of like
chicken.
beef specifically. I know that's a whole deal over there.
I mean, steaks are fine. I don't hate them. They're just mid, you know? They're like whatever. I'd rather be eating something else.
What about seafood?
I don't eat seafood.
You don't eat, that's so disappointing.
Hey man, I'm landlocked.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know that too, but like I know Wazzy and I have talked
I've
about
had pig.
decent sushi places over there.
Um, okay, so Red Dragon said, "What's the weirdest meat you've eaten?" Pig tongue. Not very good.
I think the weirdest meat I've eaten is pig ears.
Hmm. How was
Uh,
that? Chewy, or was
oh,
that
it was
like?
at a Chinese place. It was like a Chinatown place I went a long time ago with some friends that knew the cuisine. And they serve it really thinly sliced there. It's cold and it's really thinly sliced, almost like a deli meat. And the
Oh,
flavor is in like a teriyaki-ish sauce is how they served it. It's kind of
oh,
like a sweet and smoky flavor, and so
that
flavor was
sounds
good,
good.
but the texture was crunchy because it's cartilage.
Oh, I
The
don't. Okay,
texture
was the
was
texture bad?
it was bad. It was like
Okay.
eating like literal gristle. It tasted fine,
Um,
but it was all like crunchy.
it sounded good until you talked about the texture.
Did I
I'm.
did
If
not
the
enjoy it.
texture's not good, I can't eat it.
No, no, wasn't a fan.
Yeah, no, the pig tongue thing was like when I was a kid. It was like one of those bring a a dish from your family like background, like your heritage or whatever, and some kid was like Irish or something, I don't know. Somewhere from over there, and he's like, "Yeah, we eat pig tongue or something." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." And
No.
everybody else was too chicken shit to eat it except me.
Red Dragon says snake, huh? I haven't tried snake. I heard it tastes kind of like chicken. I know that's what they all
Heard
say,
it.
but I would
I've
try
heard it tastes
snake.
pretty good.
Yeah. Uh,
I mean, as long as it tastes good and it doesn't look like a snake, I wouldn't care.
yeah. Valiant asked, "Do you marinate your steak?" I don't
No.
normally, but I have before. I prefer my steaks just straight up grilled and seasoned.
I'm lazy.
The best way to eat steak, though, and I learned this because my brother did it once when I visited him. The best way to eat steak is to sous vide it, which is where you have it, the thing that boils the water and heats something.
Oh, yeah.
But it takes a long time, so you're basically slow boiling it for a couple hours, and then you throw it on like a stove or a grill to crust it and get like a cooked sear on the outside. But if you do that, it maintains all the moisture. It's so good, but it's more work. It takes longer.
I don't know. I'm a lazy person. I like the reason I like soup is because I can just throw all those things in the pot and then I come back like in 20 minutes and it's cooked. And then I'm like, oh, good, yum.
Phoenix says I've had gator and it did taste like chicken. Yeah, I haven't tried gator either, but I've heard that. I would definitely try it if I had the chance. It's just never been presented so far.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer in like the way food is presented to you is actually like a really big way in deciding whether or not you would eat it.
Oh yeah,
Like, I
for
don't know
sure.
about you, but I don't think most people would be willing to eat like bugs or whatever, obviously, because like the perception of bugs is just so disgusting, right? But if somebody had like crickets ground up into like a fine powder and then they were like baked into like a bread and then the bread was served alongside like soup or something, then people wouldn't have a problem eating it, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah, so I think it's really important for things to be presented properly.
sure I would eat bugs if they're prepared in a way that made them appetizing.
Yeah, exactly. Me too, right? Like, I don't want to eat their gross little ew. They look gross, right? But like, if they didn't look gross, then I would.
I did see Red Dragon ask, "How would you have your steak?" I'm assuming he's asking me since you don't really care about meat. Uh, Good question. I'm not gonna get on a soapbox here, but I will give you two data points. I like my steak rare,
Oh,
and
you like
I
rare?
usually order
Rare
it
steak's
rare.
not bad.
I order it rare in restaurants because places usually cook it one higher tier longer. So if I say rare, they'll give
Ah,
me medium rare, and medium rare is kind of where I like it. But I usually order rare just as I assume people are gonna overcook.
makes
Um,
sense.
my mother, mother BPM, likes her steak well done, which means she likes her steak dry and tough, like leather.
That's how my family likes it, and I don't like it like that.
No, and believe me, I've talked to her about it, and the reason is because she's scared of food poisoning.
Oh, that's okay. She shouldn't be too worried about steaks when it comes to food poisoning. It's the hamburger sort of ground meat you got to be scared of
Dude,
when it comes to
I
food
used to
poisoning.
work in a kitchen. I was a cook for 7 years. I have explained at length how the only risk of contamination on a steak is on the outside. Hence, you
Yeah,
cook the
exactly.
outside.
And then when you cook it, that gets rid of it.
She will not believe me. She believes like the being able to see the blood means there's higher chances of you getting E. coli because you can see the blood.
No, not at all.
No, and
Honestly,
she's never gonna see this.
yeah,
But I tried.
unfortunate.
I've tried. It's fine. So
Unfortunate.
when we do
Like,
steaks, we
yeah.
cook hers separately.
Is she more worried? Is she not worried about like ground meat then? Because like that's where you really got to be worried about
She is
really
as
cooking it
worried. Like she
properly.
won't have a medium well burger with like some pink for that reason too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, see, like that's reasonable,
Yeah,
but like steaks, not so much. It's
I
it's about
usually order my
like
burgers
having the
medium
meat.
well just because I don't want them to dry it out completely. But yeah, that's where
Yeah.
you got to be more careful.
Yeah, it's because like you said, all the bacteria is on the outside, but by grinding it up and mixing it up together, you're like mixing the bacteria all around in the meat.
Yes, and like again, won't belabor the point. I've tried. I can't change her mind. It's fine. It's not like she
Yeah,
mandates I eat steak well
that's
done.
fair.
But you
It
want
would be
like
another thing.
for you folks who might not know this, and I only know because I've talked to some people who experienced this. I didn't, but in Japan, a really popular food that they eat is chicken sashimi.
Oh yeah, that's so gross. I've heard of that. That just seems so wrong to
That's raw
me.
chicken for folks who don't
Yeah.
know. Uh, Apparently, if you're conditioned to eating it over there, you'll be fine. But every single person from America land that I know that's gone there and tried it, they said it tastes fine, but they've all gotten salmonella because
Yeah.
they don't have the conditioning in their system to fight off what people over there are used to. And so that's one thing I'm like, I'll try pretty much anything once, but I'm not going to try that. I would try like fugu pufferfish before I try that because I know everyone has gotten poisoning from raw chicken.
Yeah, no, it just seems like eating raw meat isn't a good idea in most cases, generally speaking. I know with fish it's different.
Yeah, fish and seafood, it's a bit
It's
different.
different. It's different, but when you're talking about land animals, it's like, ooh, I don't know about that one.
Red
Don't do
Dragon
that.
mentions eggs too, which is something unique to Japan. The way they process their eggs in like the poultry market is such that
Different.
they're safe to eat raw.
Yeah, it's not safe anywhere else.
Nope, definitely not in America land where
Yeah, they
unless
get rid
they're
of the coating or whatever.
yeah, they literally wash them, but also the chickens live in their own feces in the most part.
Yeah, that too. That too.
Yeah. Uh, Trust me, when I went to Japan and I took my folks there in February, a couple places we went to give you like some raw egg to like put on top of stuff or to dip, and I had to more so my mother than my father convinced my mom that we weren't gonna all get salmonella because you don't eat raw eggs in America land, but over there you can. I said I can cite sources and it was fine, but like the meat thing, it's like
Yeah.
Valiant says I'm getting on my soapbox. Medium well is not a real thing. It's just people who don't want to say they eat well done. I agree, Valiant. It's such a fine line of distinction. You might as well be getting well done. But medium rare, and rare can be differentiated a bit more when it comes to steak. I will just go for at a restaurant. Usually I'll just tell them rare. I won't say blue because that's pretty much not cooked. Don't
Ew.
I don't really want to do that, but hey, as long as you enjoy whatever it is you're eating, it's fine. It's fine. I don't have to. We don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree.
Yeah.
But I will have you not slander tomatoes in my presence.
I'm sorry. I just don't like them.
It's okay.
I just don't like
Like I
them.
said, my best friend and I have argued about this repeatedly because he won't eat
I
raw
think they're
tomatoes.
neat. I think they're neat and a useful food. I just don't personally like them. I don't think they're bad. Only bad food is like melons and like celery.
Melons. You don't
I'm
like
not a
watermelons,
no. I don't like any
honeydews,
melons.
cantaloupes.
Nope.
Oh,
Nope. Nope. I think they're a waste of time and space.
I almost think that's a
Cucumbers
more
and
controversial
such.
opinion than the tomatoes because I know plenty of people that hate tomatoes, but not a lot of people who are gonna die on the anti-melon hill. I guess.
I just don't like any of them. They all taste bad. They all taste bad. And sorry, I'm sorry you guys have bad taste buds that you can't recognize that.
Valiant says, when I worked in a kitchen, if a medium well steak came back, we would nuke it in the microwave.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
they call that giving it to Chef Mikey, and you put it in the microwave. And that makes me sad. I didn't know you worked in a kitchen, Valiant. You're like me.
When was the last time you ate a fruit and not a soup? Yesterday. I had some grapes.
Nothing wrong with
I eat
grapes.
fruit. I eat fruit.
Just
I
not
just don't like
melons.
the melons. I just don't like melons.
Hmm.
I just think they're very sad and they go bad really quickly. And not even in the way where it's like raspberries where you eat them all and you feel good about it. Because if you don't, they'll go bad. It's like, well, melons are just like bleh, sad water thing, crunchy water thing. I don't like.
No, crunchy water is lettuce. Come on. Melons have more flavor than lettuce. Lettuce is literally all texture.
Lettuce tastes like green, and it's boring bad, or just bad, I guess. Melons are just bad, boring bad, I guess. The difference is that melons boring bad, lettuce bad, green bad.
I think you just don't like things that are green.
I don't like things that are green except for broccoli. Broccoli good.
I like broccoli. I like
Probably
vegetables
could.
in general. I don't like iceberg lettuce and whatnot. If I'm making a salad, I usually go for like spinach or baby kale or something that's more
Hmm.
substantial. Those have flavor, but
That
iceberg
makes
lettuce
sense.
is just it's just water. It's
Yeah,
crunchy
I don't
water.
know. The only time I eat lettuce is in sandwiches. That's about it. And it's just like a little extra whatever.
Mini trees. That's essentially what broccoli is. Like small trees. I
Yeah.
don't like celery either, Phoenix.
Yeah, celery is only good cooked.
Yep.
Actually, I guess I should say I only like vegetables when they're cooked.
Mm,
So, except for lettuce, obviously, because why would you cook that?
that makes sense. I have plenty of food opinions. I'm kind of thinking I need to do more just chatting streams where we talk about stuff. I don't do that a lot here. I used to do
Just,
it a little more,
just,
but
just chatting about whatever the fuck.
yeah, I would do
Yeah,
it
we
more if
went
I had
very off
people to
topic.
come on and argue with.
Yeah, it's a bit more fun when there's somebody else to bounce off of, huh?
Phoenix says I should probably put some spinach on my pizza before leaving work. I made a pizza from scratch yesterday,
Oh,
and
yummy.
what I've been trying to do because I'm trying to reduce the amount of carbs and stuff and be less of a fat person. I picked up an interesting low carb pizza dough recipe that you can make that doesn't have any like grains in it. I think I've talked about this before, but it's been a while. The recipe is called Fathead. I don't know why they call it that, but the pizza dough is made from shredded cheese and almond flour and a little bit of cream cheese and an egg. And so basically, you're taking it's primarily cheese, and everything else makes it to more of like a bread texture. But it turns out really well. I've done it a few times, and last night I took some of my pesto out of my freezer that I made from my garden, my basil, and did like a basil, chicken, spinach, and mushroom pizza using that recipe, and it turned out quite well. And it's been such a long time since I've had like regular commercial pizza that I'm pretty sure all of the carbs are gonna destroy me if I ever eat it.
Fair. I mean, home pizza is nice though. It's a lot cheaper, and like you can put whatever the hell you want on it. And you get to control the sausage, the cheesage, whateverage, you know. Also, I have to say, peanut butter and celery is not goated. That's literally slop. That's that's pig slop, man. Peanut butter, ew. Celery, ew. So both together, double ew.
I really like peanut butter. Uh, I do not think it saves celery for me personally. I'd rather have it if I'm gonna put it on a vegetable. I'd rather put it on like a carrot or something, which I know people do. They'll dip carrots in peanut butter, but
I've never heard that before.
really,
Yeah, no.
or apples and peanut butter. It's another one.
I've heard apples and peanut butter.
I love peanut
I
butter.
do I do disrespect peanut butter. It just tastes bad. I do like peanuts though.
You just don't like them ground up into a smooth paste.
Yeah.
Huh.
I like doing the work myself.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I don't think we've ever talked about thoughts on peanut butter, but I like the flavor of peanut butter more than anything else. But whether it's in
That's
something, on something, or just like straight, I don't have any peanut butter at the moment, but
I
it's
don't
good
we have too
proteins.
much peanut butter here. I know it's really good. I know it's like a really good like food, like it's like a superfood almost, I think. However, I just don't like it. I don't like the way it smells. I don't like the way it tastes. I don't like the mouth feel. Everything
It's
about it's just icky to me.
it is sticky, but that's really funny. I like seeing all the different opinions. And while it would be an interesting conversation to continue to debate everyone's food tastes, I do think we are getting a little bit late into the stream.
We are.
But to that end, I may think about doing some more chatting stuff in the future. We can all bring our terrible opinions and argue about them.
Terrible opinions.
So let me see who's online we can raid, and then we will get ready to wrap up. Like I mentioned, for the music project itself, the whole reason we're here to begin with, I guess. Uh,
I love how off topic we went.
Very off topic. Like seriously, watch the archive later when it's on here on Twitch or on YouTube. We sometimes diverged for almost like 20 minutes on a single track because we were talking about something else. It was hilarious. But the tracks themselves are currently available on streaming platforms Spotify and Tidal. I'll be making the Bandcamp tracks live. If you want to download them, you can download them for free. Just put $0 in the field. You don't have to pay for them. The YouTube compilation video we're watching now will also be made public, so you can see just the tracks in compilation and look at the art that Pups did. Legal disclaimers for my work, just because it's worth mentioning. These tracks are all royalty-free assets to use in content, so you don't have to ask permission. You don't have to, ask me specifically if you want to use them for streaming or YouTube videos or whatnot. I just ask that you put credit on there. That's all I ask. Other than that, you can use them. Hence the need to have them downloadable on places like Bandcamp. But yeah, let me check my raid list while we're wrapping up. I definitely appreciate everybody coming here to discuss the project. Oh, let's see. My peer, my Celia, fellow artist, she is streaming FF14 online. Uh-oh. It's like a crack habit. Red Dragon says, need to do a podcast. Well, originally that was the intention of our Salt Table session stuff. I want to bring that back at some point. Everybody's been quite busy lately.
Also, I don't have any bad food opinions, Valiant. You're so mean. How dare you bully me? I'm just a little guy. I'm just a little guy. When you're bullying me, you're bullying the little guy. How dare you?
I think that is debatable. But they're not terrible opinions. Like, at least you don't skin your chicken nuggets or...
No, I'm too lazy to do something like that.
No, yeah, definitely not the worst food opinions. Of note, I will say that the next big project for music is going to be Halloween. And it seems like it's far away, but it's really not, which is really my problem. But there'll be a teaser going up for the next Halloween project somewhat soon, probably in the next couple weeks, maybe early September. But I'm really excited for the Halloween project this year. It's going to be a little different from previous years, but the tracks that I've put together I think are pretty fun. So to that end,
everybody get ready for the spooky.
Yes, my favorite time of year, my favorite holiday. Surprising, I know. But to that end, let us go to outro, and we will go raid Myceli and see how the FF14 rating is going. We will be back on Saturday for a regular gaming stream. Red Dragon and I will be going back into Elden Ring. So if you want to see us get punished some more, feel free to drop by on Saturday at noon Pacific. But in the meantime, thanks again for hanging out, folks. It was great talking to all of you and sharing the project. Shout out to Pwups for joining me as well. Their information will be in the YouTube video if you want to look them up. Please do so. And I will catch you folks later. Say goodnight, Pwups.
Bye. Oh, my cat.